Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NLC. We are halfway through our relegation tournament, and we've got plenty more action to go. Today, we are going to be looking at our first elimination series. The loser, unfortunately, will be out of the NLC guaranteed. Don't like to say it, but it is what it is. First of all, going to say thank you to our sponsors, Telia, MasterCard, and El Giganten. And of course, I'm welcoming Emo Gulborg and Trouble to the desk, where we'll be breaking down all of the action today. Guys, should we take a look, before we get into anything, should we take a look at where we are in the bracket right now? I think we should just take a brief feel of exactly what's happened over the last couple of days. And you can see here, Galaxy Racer are the first team to qualify for the NLC. It was a banger series yesterday, but I think they really came out as the stronger team. And I do genuinely believe they are the team that deserve to qualify the most based on their performances so far this series.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yesterday, they also said it in the interview. They came out from a rematch against Bifrost from Telia Masters, which they thought they should have won. And arguably, yesterday, I think it showed that, of course, they should have. 3-1, very dominant. The only game dropping against this turbo-fed Carters. And after that, it was kind of hard for Bifrost to replicate the success. Really strong team synergy coming out from Galaxy Racer.
Yeah, it has been, I think, the most convincing team so far, where they came into this relegation series with the three other teams, and we could point our finger on it, except me because I went with Bifrost, where you could guys point your finger on it and say, yeah, this one looks like it's most likely going to be going into the NLC, and you guys were right. There you go, I'll give it to you. You guys were right.
Everyone's linking pictures of themselves as kids in the production chat. It's very sweet, guys, but we have games to focus on. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the games that we'll be seeing today, because obviously we have MNM and Dusty matching up again. The two NLC teams matching up in the first elimination match. Now, these guys obviously met before when we had the seeding match at the end of the NLC, and Dusty comfortably won that series. It seems like with the MNM changes that I genuinely feel like they may have upgraded.
I completely agree with you, and I think last time these two teams played against each other, it was such a fiesta. I remember the first game. I don't know what in detail. I'm pretty sure my mind erased that memory because it was pretty poor gameplay, that first game in their last series. And as you said yourself, MNM has arguably upgraded their roster. Specifically, Kamid has looked really good in the jungle.
Yeah, and let's not jump too much the gun here, because we've basically seen him on one champion. He was allowed to play Dali, I think, in the entirety of the series. But yeah, it is definitely an upgrade. Both the ADC and the jungle seem to be making a huge deal for MNM. It seems to be working out for them, especially. I have to commend them on the early game, because it does look very solid at this point. Something that MNM was very lost at is how they were going to execute on the drafts they were picking, what they were going to do in the early game. The early game would usually not detect. The early game would usually dictate how the rest of the game would go. And they've had pretty stellar early games. Even though they did lose the series, the early games have been very, very good. Now, of course, the mid game is something you can't necessarily pinpoint, because it's something that a team needs to work together for a long time to actually have it being competitive. But they've had a series, they've had time to recollect, they've had time to see what their mistakes were, and now they just come back with a bang.
Yeah, and I gotta say, yeah, the addition of Camel has been good. The same with Divine, but even Blue on the support role just played phenomenally on the Alistar, making engages and being proactive in ways we had not seen in past matches, like at all whatsoever. I think that a lot of the teams or the members on the team stepped up, specifically Air as well, on not specifically the Tristana, but I know he had another champion that he solo killed on. Point being that it felt like since the new members came into MNM, everyone just raised the bars of their gameplay.
I think so, absolutely. And I think Trouble made a really good point, though. We praised Camille, but he was playing on one champion through the entire series, and it really felt like that was his champion that he was popping off on. We do need to see if that comes into this equation, whether we put him on something else, it'll be different, whether it will change the way that he plays in the jungle. But I do think Camille was one of the big reasons that they looked stronger, and especially more control in the early game is what I remember both of you praising, and I think you've talked about it here as well. MNM looked like they would do nothing before, when we were in the NLC in the first 15 minutes. This time around, they were active in the first 15 minutes, but the problems that they had versus Bifrost was converting that in the mid game, converting that into genuine gold leads that they can run with and win the game.
Yeah, and I think it's been proactive in the early game, but
I'm
it's
just
also
going to
been
join Gulborg. I'm
smart.
literally just going to join Gulborg 1 second.
Yeah, it's better doing these times 6 counter. Just get it down, yeah. I want to see it. Trouble, you can join us all after the break if you're feeling it. But I just gotta say that even the cross maps coming out from MNM was really smart decision making. It's not like where they're just like, all right, let's set up for Drake. It's more like, all right, let's actually set up for the topside gang. Let's try and get the Rift out. Let's try and just sacrifice the first 2 Drakes, get 2 turns in the topside, get all the camps. Like, they were really smart about their way of playing the game, and that was something we had not previously seen. That word was hard, and I'm wondering if they can replicate that success, because it's like it looked really clutch from MNM, and I don't know if they just had their life's best performance that day or if they're actually able to get it done. Trouble.
Come on, Excandle, don't give up on me now.
Trouble. I think you're rocking. It's actually just completely changed the way you look. It's crazy.
Don't give up on me now, Excandle. Come on, we either do it or not. Come
fine, okay.
There we go. Cool.
It's not a phase, Mom.
Okay, I can't even see what's going on now.
That's okay. We're good.
Yeah. What am I looking at now? Should we have a look at what's coming up today? MNM versus Dusty at 6 p.m. CET. That's correct.
Let's say CET, so you're seeing extra now with the...
Well, I just know that the times are in CET, you see, because we're actually an hour behind here in the UK. Yeah. I literally can't see anything.
You gotta commit. You gotta commit.
Okay, I've got to commit. I think we should have a look at the predictions before we head towards the draft, though, because obviously we have had some predictions today. We should, I believe, have a graphic to show you that most people are back in MNM. They're the only person. I mean, Dan did this with the XL Fnatic series and got burnt. So we'll see if Dan is the prophet this time round or if he's going to get burnt again. But most people going for MNM. And Jamada can actually show his true allegiances this time and go for MNM with a good conscience because everybody else has.
First of all, I've said this before, Orcs is an edgelord. Wherever we guys go for, he'll go the other way completely, and he will go with a prediction that's very out there, and he went for the 3-0. And I'm surprised he didn't go for the 3-0 Dusty, just so he can do it. But yeah, MNM looks so freaking strong in the early game, and if you compare it to the Dusty early game, these guys look lost. Like, one of our big criticisms about Dusty was the fact that they just had no game plan whatsoever the entire game, and it's just continuing here, and it's a little bit scary seeing them going down the loser bracket, and now if they continue like this today, it's kind of bye-bye.
I will say, though, that Dusty does still have the tools in their roster to actually make this game work for them. We didn't really see it from them last game, but we know Chelm can be a beast in the jungle as well. This should theoretically be his meta as well, and he should be able to come out and contest Camel. Bot lane has been a bit lackluster from the side of Dusty, but we have seen them do well on good days as well. Hoist can be an absolute madman. We've seen it before in these games. We've seen it in the NLC fall. But, I mean, it's last chance for you. You got to make it happen now.
I mean, I think I really want to reiterate the gravity of the situation here today. Like, as you said, this is the elimination match. Like, both these teams were in the NLC previously. Both of these teams were our incumbent NLC teams at the end of the day, and they are now fighting out for a lifeline. There is a whole load on the line for either team should they get relegated out. But of course, we already know that we've got one Telia Masters teams making their way through, and then again they have to win this series and then win another one to even make it back to the NLC at this point as well. The winner of this will go on to face Bifrost for a chance at the NLC. So they clearly have to walk the very long road all the way through every single series to make it back to this point in time. Now, we are heading towards our first series of the day. So when we go...
my fridge is dropping. Quick.
Yeah, okay. We're going to a break. When we're back, we've got draft.
on the inside. I had something nice to say. I'm thinking of that blood that you are. I never wandered far. I never set my standards too low. And I never wandered far. And I don't mind. Take the lead and drive me far away. You drive me far away. You drive me. When the night comes creeping in to say goodnight, and the daybreak starts within in the blink of an eye, and the dream is like a highway that never ends. I'm wanting it all to last. I'm waiting for it to pass. I had something nice to say. I'm thinking of that blood that you are. I never wandered far. I never set my standards too low. And I never wandered far. And I don't mind. Take the lead and drive me far away. You drive me far away. You drive me. You drive me far away. You drive me.
We can feel the glow everywhere we go. Sunlight to the stars, everywhere we are. Birds in the air say everything's alright. Birds in the air say yeah.
We are heading into our first draft of the day here, MNM and Dusty, and I honestly feel a little heartbroken that we're even in this situation. Two teams that we've followed over the course of this entire split, but one of them has got to go. One of them has got to go in the bin, but it's not really a bin. It's just a demotion. Anyway, Dusty versus MNM.
You really did them dirty though.
I did them in the bin. Get in the bin. Anyway, draft coming up. Obviously, something that felt important to MNM yesterday was that Lilia. Do you think that Dusty just get rid of that straight off the bat, like just absolutely delete the Lilia, force MNM onto something different?
I mean, you could, and you might gonna have to, because you need to see what other things Camille can play, and you also take him out of his comfort. He played 3 games on that. He did perform very well on all of them, so you just take the comfort away from him and see what else he's going to bring out. You get ready with the counter pick, because you also have red side if you're Dusty, so you're all good. And don't worry, guys, I'm just going to repeat everything that Dust said for Excandrel, so he can follow. Oh, see. Okay. Excandrel, you're great.
Yeah, sorry, I just needed to sort my hair out. Didn't do it in the break, and I couldn't have it living like Gulbog's hair. I'm not 12 anymore. Sorry. You guys haven't seen Gulbog without a beard, I'm just saying.
But if you want to, let us know. We'll make it
He is.
happen.
Oh no, he looks sad. He is really cute. To be fair, Gulbug is amazing. He looks. No, Gulbug, don't do the sad face.
The more you do that sad face, the more you look like you're 15. Just saying.
No, he's
Just
doing the
saying.
sad face, and it's breaking my heart. It's Gulbug, talk about League of Legends, please.
I don't know what to say. I wanted to say something, but then you were mean,
destroyed
and
the
I
spirit,
did not know what to say.
If you get 100 retweets on NLC's next post, Gulbug will shave his beard. Guaranteed on stream. Let's
I
go.
never said that.
Well, it's said on
We
stream.
said
It's
it
done.
once.
We said it now. It's done.
All right. So with these bans
I'll
coming
also shave
through,
mine.
you can tell that they're just prioritizing the jungle picks right now, and understandably so. There's a lot of priority picks already gone. The Hecarim, the Lilia out of the way, but a fast rotation coming back from Dusty with the Caitlyn and the Olaf. I actually suspected them to just go for something 80 heavy in the mid lane and then straight up go for the Karthus, something that we know Legions and Chelm is very happy to play, but not going for that pick. They're just going straight for the Olaf. They want to play around the priority, and with Caitlyn, you could surely do so if you secure yourself a good bot lane matchup.
That's what I want to talk about. That bot lane matchup, but Jinx right here is open, and it's a really good matchup into the Caitlyn. You have the range to clear the minions, you have the push into the Caitlyn, but if you pair Caitlyn up with something that like the Lux, it's really strong versus the Udyr. It's also really strong versus the Jinx, because Jinx will have to swap to the minigun to try and not use up all the mana available to her, which means that a lot of the poke will come through from Caitlyn and a Lux, and it also works really well with all the CC and all the slows and everything else. This is why MNM very wisely here. I really hope they put this down bot lane. They try to pair up utility / poke down with the Jinx too.
But
Let's
this,
see what the. Oh yeah, go.
Don't troll Legions, just lock in the Lux.
yeah. So I mean, are you gonna lock into Lux? Do you want to secure yourself a really good mid lane matchup? Like mid lane pool has already been trimmed, and if you don't lock anything in, you're just gonna be
Yes, you do.
going against it.
Yes, you do.
All right, sure. I thought there were still some decent matchups you can get into supports. Like loads of supports are up right now, but they decide to just go for it, the Lux here instead, and then they start banning out Thresh here. And reason for that is we know Air has been playing Karma before in the mid lane. We know it's something you can flex up towards in the top lane as well. So they're just not taking any chances against this lane. They want bot lane to be 100% winnable for them, and therefore they're just, banning out the opponent.
Yeah, and I really like how you mentioned that, when Dusty played well, you do see Hoyes becoming that 1v9 sort of beast. And now with the likes of Caitlyn in his hands, he does have the chance to do that. You've got a really hard shoving bot lane. You've got a really strong jungler. Now you need to make sure that the other two lanes don't fall flat, because we saw that in the best of 5 yesterday as well. The Caitlyn cannot function if you're losing hard on the other side of the map, because then the jungler has to shadow that side of the map so they don't lose harder. So you don't necessarily get to snowball, you don't get the plates, you don't get to transition to top lane, take plates there, and so on and so forth.
Waiting for the final ban here. Sorry guys if you can hear my dogs going mental in the background. It wouldn't be a stream without either a baby rage or dogs barking, but it is what it is. We'll see a final ban coming through. Obviously Malphite and Sion have been banned. Gnar is still available.
That's crazy. That is very crazy, specifically because obviously, yeah, you can still go for a carry matchup in the top lane into it, but then that's fine because Dusty will be playing strong side towards that bot lane instead. So if you just put flashes onto the Gnar here, even if they pick Aurelia, you'll just have to worry about the laning phase. Like, you're still going to outshine him if you went even in the late game. So actually goes for the control mage here, and there's still a lot of options for Air available in this one. You can easily throw the Karma down towards support. You know you'll be going up against the Lux. You can go for the Syndra here if you'd like to from the side of Air. Create that priority that you really need in the early game, specifically because enemy right now has an Olaf. If you can make your Udyr pick work better with actually having some skirmish potential with the Syndra, with the Udyr around the pressure you get around mid, that'd be awesome.
Whoa.
But no, they actually go with Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz used to be a control mage counter, specifically against Orianna, Syndra, or NLC, all these champions where range is key for them. Thing is with Vel'Koz, he outranges the range champions. Like, that is just the thing with Vel'Koz. So that's exactly what you'll be looking towards to be doing here with Air, but very AP heavy already with the Karma, with the Vel'Koz, but obviously you get that true damage from the Vel'Koz passive.
And I'm wondering what they're still gonna choose to do, because both Vel'Koz and Karma are both flexes at this point. You can take the Vel'Koz down bot and try to beat the Caitlyn Lux range that you have down there and try to poke them down, which works. You can also put it into the Orianna because Karma does have really good clear versus both these lanes. So I want to know what they're going to choose to do because we've said before, Air is a Karma player and he can choose to take the Velcos or just take the Karma in the mid lane. I love the Gnar takeaway, and what I really like from Dust is that they left Flax's peak as last. I felt like Flax's in the regular split really struggled, even with counter picks in his hands, to find the openings. So securing something that's like really comfortable for him and a matchup that he really wants to play into, I think is like very important because again, we said the rest of the map falls flat with the Caitlyn lane, it's kind of doomed.
So this is Urgot coming through to Flaxish. This is something that obviously they must have had an answer to Gnar. You obviously know Gnar comes through if it's not being picked up until that stage in the draft. Is this Kraken Slayer Urgot that was popping off over the course of the last few weeks?
I won't go into his build details, but I think Urgot into Gnar can work because Gnar's got very short range himself, and so do you as Urgot in that matchup. So you can actually stay away from you can auto space pretty nicely. You got that shotgun leg that you can pull out whenever he walks forward. I think the melee range is going to be interesting. It can be very jungle matchup dependent. There is the setup for both champions as soon as you hit that level 6. So it's going to come down to who's actually up there and pressuring and who's playing respectively towards the enemy jungler.
I think we're going to get another game. I don't remember who it was. It was definitely Barrage from the regular split when it went on for 55 minutes and the game was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth while the entire base was completely in tatters because none of these teams have any hard engage in their hands. So no one has that pure goal button that will get them in there and that will get the 100% guaranteed engage. So yeah, it's going to be really fun seeing the ball run like headless chickens back and forth with all these long range ADCs.
Why you got to do this like that, Trouble? Why you got to set us
I'm
up for like
preparing you
an
for the
hour-long
fun.
slogfest in the first game of Best of 5 series?
I'm preparing you for the fun.
You've cursed it.
Get your popcorn.
You've cursed
No,
it.
get your popcorn.
You've just straight up cursed it. All right, going to hand it over to our casters. We've got Orcs back. Finally, someone with some insane abilities to go with Jake. So they'll hand it over to Orcs and Hitbrain.
Was that a slight at me? I'm not sure if he was going for me a little bit there. Hello and welcome to the Caster Desk. We're getting ready to go into our first game of this series. This is MNM versus Dusty. Our two NLC teams here in the relegation stage, and one of them is going to go home today.
Yeah, a lot of pressure, and I think it's a pretty big deal. MNM having been a long-standing org. For those of you who aren't familiar, they were a team in the UK scene when it was the UKLC, before we transitioned to NLC, and held multiple titles, played in the EU Challenger Series. You might remember players like Larson had a big amount of time playing for MNM, so a pretty storied org, potentially with a chance of getting knocked out here. And then on the other side, Dusty, our Icelandic representative. It's sad to know that one of these teams will be getting relegated and going down, but both of them have a chance to stop that here.
Well, maybe a little bit of cheese starting out here. Hoyce has to be careful as Blue will step forward.
He's dead. He's gone.
They weren't ready for him. They weren't ready for him. Hoyce just burns the flash. MNM do get himself a little bit of damage put in to the back of Hoyce and burn his flash. So they take something, but yeah, I mean, you said that he was dead, but
He
MNM
should have been.
just weren't
Honestly,
ready.
he should have been. Karma, don't skill an ability. You get in the bush. Mantra W, roots for like 2 seconds. Udyr comes over and bear stuns. If that's even needed, it probably isn't at that point. But that would have been a guaranteed kill. Because the thing with the tether is you can't flash out of its range if you activate it that close. So could have been a guaranteed kill. Put the Caitlyn behind already. Obviously losing your flash, not a great thing. But should be able to manage it.
I want to see if Camille actually punishes for that now. Is starting on this blue side, so we'll clear downwards. So we'll end up around this bot lane when he starts to look to go for these ganks. So could always look for that punish. We'll have to see how the lane goes, whether or not Hoyce and Bederson will look to try and punish and push up, or if they're going to maybe play this a little bit safer now for Hoyce is flashless.
Yeah, you got to be careful about the one. And the thing is, I feel like, you know, Divine and Blue can just match the shove. So maybe Hoyce and Pedersen do just let themselves get shoved in and avoid the potential gank pressure. But to be honest, like a Karma will outshove a Lux in the early game, and a Jinx is capable of actually matching and exceeding the Caitlyn just thanks to the rockets. And you can see here, zoned out pretty heavily in this situation, harassed from Blue coming down. And all in all, if you're playing Caitlyn and you're not able to find priority in lane, it's a pretty bad time. Obviously, you know, it's just level 1. It is going to bounce back eventually. But at that point, that's when you could see Camille come down and make an impact on the lane. For now, though, Divine and Blue are going to move and get some vision down in this blue side jungle. This is perfect timing because they'll know exactly where Chilm started. Well, they should know anyway. It was on the top side, but they'll be able to see exactly when he passes through those camps.
Has already done a full top side clear. Chelm, like you said, a little bit slower, but at the moment is making his way down. There is that ward like you were just talking about where he will get spotted out on, but for the moment it is, I don't know what Trouble is hitting on, a bit more chill as they say that, but Beast are going low, and they may just look for the kill. Flaxish will die in response. No, he won't. What?
Lord.
How much health? He has
Eat health
78
pots.
now. That was...
Eat your health pots. That is all I'm saying. We'll drink them, obviously, but health potions, the real clutcher there for Flaxish. Only just survived, and I'm sure we're going to replay. We'll be able to see just how close that was once again, but huge to be getting that solo kill in the early laning phase. Giving you some huge momentum. And yeah, they know Chelm's here, and he has no ultimate, so Stun's going to connect.
He just straight up loses this early as well. The Zap will not be close enough, but the Ignite will go down. Camille will get the kill. They'll get the Crab. They'll get the Grump. They'll probably get 2 Crabs off this, and that is going to be a slingshot forward for MNM in the jungle position. Hoyt can see he's doing it.
That is the power priority. Oh, Root won't even connect. And even if the Root connects, I don't think Camille dies there. It's a little bit too bulky. But mid laner moves over, bot lane moves over. Divine and Blue still holding that priority. Just the power of the Karma Jinx. A little bit too much for the Lux Caitlyn. They do manage to get the CC chain here, though.
Yeah, Blue's very low. That's going to force the heal out from Divine.
That's the threat. You know, Karma Jinx can shove you. They can harass you. But when it comes to kill pressure, if Lux hits a binding, the trap is there to follow, and it's so dangerous, so threatening.
Yeah, but that's setting up
again here.
For that binding is going to land onto Blue. There is no heal this time. Now Pedersen throws out the shield as the tether connects. Divine's just free firing away onto him. Supports will be traded. Pedersen excited. The teleport's coming in. Here comes the backup, baby. Multiple members making their way over. It's Air with a knock-up. Hoy's going to be able to dodge away on that one, but they're going to give this kill over to Air, not Divine.
Yeah, so critical things there. First off is Hoy's wasn't in range to follow the route with the trap. It was delayed, and so they couldn't instantly burst down Blue. That allowed Divine, obviously, to get a kill at about the same time, but Jinx getting a reset, really valuable in terms of continuing that 1v1. The Air comes in with a TP, Legions are just TP'd mid, and you can see there's a bit of CS discrepancy because of that, so Air did sacrifice his lane a fair bit. He also had that roam earlier, but overall, you're happy to get that extra kill, and if you look at the state of the bot lane, Divine is significantly ahead on this Jinx.
Yeah, we can actually have a look at the top lane play, how this kind of went wrong here. But Beast is just taking everything from Flaxish. The flip and the shotgun knees do way too much damage in the middle of those minions.
Yeah, so much burst. And here, Flash is flashing over to continue to get the damage. And it's close, but the health potion ticking away keeps him alive. And here's the bot lane play. So once again, you know, Pedersen does find the route onto Blue, but you see Hoy's is slowed already, trying to walk over. Trap comes in, Blue walks off. Otherwise, he would have just died instantly. And then they would have been able to use that extra time to chunk Divine out. But the reset comes in. Hoy's trying to get away here, but the traps actually block his path. And that's critical because his plan was to get up to the wall and try and net over. Because Divine kept him in there, Air is able to clean up the kills. So it's a really nice play from MNM there. Just some outplays in the 2v2 and the 3v2 overall.
While we're in the replay, Chelm, with the help of Pedersen, was able to pick up the Ocean Drake for the side of Dusty. So they do get themselves that first dragon. Camille here in the bottom side of the map, although the wave is in a slightly irritating place. Divine's going to just rocket through to try and shove the wave, but Camille's not going to hang around too much longer. Otherwise, you are just going to be wasting time. He's really far up over his lane opponent as Hoy's takes a pretty horrible little combo there from Divine and him. Able to dodge away on the traps, luckily.
Yeah, it's just the range. Pedersen's firing these bindings at quite a distance, and Hoy's is struggling to get in range to lay the traps down in time. A little bit uncoordinated there, because honestly, if you connect one of those, Blue's losing at like 60% of his HP.
Yeah, it's a really rough trade. It's similar to the Caitlyn Morgana, really, in that sense. And even with the shields from Pedersen, Hoy's is getting consistently chunked out and has to move away as a third crab, second spawn of the crabs has spawned up and has been spotted out by Dusty. Camille on the top side of the jungle. Same for Chelm, though, so neither one of these junglers will be looking to go for that straight away as Camille is just clearing his way downwards right now. You can see a large CS deficit starting to grow in this jungle. That's off the back of the double crab, Grump invade, and the kill that Camille was able to get over Chelm. You can see the gold.
Yeah, pretty significant lead to get so far. And again, this is one of the big strengths of Udia, being able to get that massive lead in the early game. Unfortunately, you know, when you are playing Olaf, you want to be getting that early momentum, so to be behind isn't ideal.
Yeah, it's not the same as the beginning of the season when we had like the Gore Drinker Olaf just able to scale.
Yeah, like he holds up better than he used to in the later game, but
Yeah, definitely.
it's not like he's especially in a composition like this when there's, you know, Enchanter supports paired with heavy scaling AD carries, you're gonna feel the scaling a lot more severely in a game like this.
Jelm is able to pick up his first crab of the game, giving a little bit of vision priority over to the side of Dusty. As you can see, quick toggle between the teams in the top side. There's a lot of vision being placed down by MNM. A couple of wards in that jungle will spot out this roam that Legion and Shelm are trying to do. Blue's already rotated over though. And Divine making his way through the mid lane, holding hands with Camille. There's going to be some action for this dragon. Lifeborn disintegration rate's been finished up for Airs. He does eat the ace in the hole.
There, the damage coming out the poke. Going for that one just when someone's isolated on the squish your carries, you want to get that poke when no one's there to block it. Now, big mantra comes in.
Yeah, they're actually going to get the traps and the laser beam off. Camille trying to find his opportunity, but the Ragnarok will stop any bear stance stuns coming down. MNM force hard here, and they chunk out a couple of members. That might be enough for them just to start up this dragon.
Yeah, I think you can see from the movements coming out from Dusty, they are trying to get some poke down here, but Chilm's on the other side of the map now. He was chunked out. He knows he can't continue this. Dusty's still trying to fish potentially for a pick here, or at least make it a difficult take for MNM, but they'll quickly be able to pick it up and move out. So successful play for MNM. Rotated up, managed to punish Dusty in the initial fight. Despite getting no kills, they got the objective, and that's the important thing.
Question is where are they going to use that? How are they going to use that?
So I would say they would use that to take a tower, and they would use that in the lanes.
Yes.
There you go.
You're such a bloody know-it-all, aren't you? I was trying to find a
I
I
can
tried
feel
to
you
find a 5
thinking.
o'clock on the air
Words
way
are
of
coming up,
saying
Jake,
that.
but they weren't words you were going to use.
Ah, God, I hate you. Yes, the question is what lane and who are they going to inject their gold into, Orcs?
That, yeah. Well, if you're wondering that one, then probably going to invest it into Divine, that scaling Jinx, and probably going to put it down wherever he is. They could throw it down mid, get some plates for the mid laner, put some pressure on that bot lane tower, but I feel like for MNM, they want a tower take. They want more than just a couple of plates. Actually, Hoy's slow down here.
Oh, that's a good trap as the final spark's being thrown down. A lot of damage put into Blue, but he isn't dead. The bear slabs are there. They're gifting gold to Divine as he finds himself the kill. Ace in the hole will get blocked up by Camille. Press your S keys. Make sure you don't run around too much. And Orcs, as much as you're on know-it-all, you might be right about this one. They are going to force the teleport out from Legions coming to defend this tower. Ultimately, a smart play at the end of the day is they're not even going to be able to pick the plate up. Legions may find himself a new deer, though, as I don't know who's found who.
You just have to be careful. If you get stunned, could be in trouble, but does force Camille away.
He has to be so careful. If he gets hit by this knock-up, he could die. Able to dodge away on that one with the fancy dancing.
And the thing is, although they don't get the bot lane play that they wanted, they force a TP from Legions, as able to pick up some farm free in the mid lane. And the critical thing is they still have the Herald. It's not like they wasted it. They're going to be a bit careful here.
Yeah, 4 members in the mid lane. They are just hard forcing here. Air should be able to deal with this one, but the reason Dusty are forcing is for that Cloud Dragon. They want to pick themselves up the second dragon. Camille seems not interested in dragons at all. He is just bolted across the map towards the top side to deal with Flaxish. Now he's going to head back into his jungle, and there'll have to be a miracle steal from Blue if they're going to try and do this. Not even close.
Yeah, it's going to be the Mountain Soul. Pretty valuable here, all in all. When you think about the, again, scaling strong backlines, that Mountain Soul makes them even harder to take down, and can be a factor when it comes to the late game situations. So both teams, you'd think both teams looking to prioritize that, but again, MNM just haven't really put too much attention into it. Instead, favoring things like the Herald, trying to get the plates, looking for those plays. But a minute 30 before plates drop, so I'd like to see a play coming out from Camille to make use of that Herald. Mid's the simple option. You can just throw it mid, 2 plates, you chunk the hardest tower to take down a bit. But again, I feel like if you're trying to get bang for your buck, you want to go down that bot lane, which is already lowered down a little bit there, plate and a half missing. And you should be able to take it if you can force a play. You can see Air in the mid lane consistently finding priority, so it's very simple for him just to move down.
Yeah, it's not a particularly hard task for him. He's finished up his Leandries. Legions obviously sidetracking for the tier and the boots of lucidity, so item path is a little bit further behind right now for Legions as far as completing an item. Chelm has finished up the Stride Breaker in his inventory. Titanic Hydra onto Flaxish. Curious to see what the build is from Flaxish, because Xandor did hit on it. There is a recent surge of Kraken Slayer. Urgot.
But they are going for the bot lane play. A little bit more damage on the tower, and they should be able to get this one, but the Herald's going to hit. It's not quite going to kill it off, but they get the vast majority of the plates, which is the important thing, and it's still going to be pretty easy to pick up on the back end.
Camille has a 2-level lead over Chelm right now.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's expected, again, with that successful early game from Camille and the fact he's playing the Olaf, you do kind of anticipate that advantage, but it's still a substantial lead.
Nice little binding by Pedersen, but ultimately this tower's going down. I think Dusty are very much aware of that. They held it long enough for the plate.
You know, you say they're very much aware of that. If they were aware of that, I'd hope Pedersen wouldn't be there. 'Cause, this does not look like a favorable situation for him. I will definitely say that.
I think this might be one deadlux. Pedersen's caught inside, and Divine's gifted his 3rd kill. The first tower of the game as well for MNM. They didn't get all the plates, at least. So Dusty can take some happiness in that, but next Rift Herald spawning up relatively soon. Legion's getting poked and out-prioed by Air constantly. And the only real pressure point Dusty have right now is this top lane.
Yep. I mean, Flaxish is doing work, don't get me wrong, but again, I see a 3-0 Jinx with 6,000 gold in pocket, and I am worried for any team facing up against that, especially when you have a Karma to buff it up and shield. It's concerning.
I mean, that was just a Titanic Hydra. He just machine gunned through that tower.
Yep.
Ace in the Hole's going to land onto Air, into Stride Breaker, into Final Spark. Air able to flash away the safety.
Not sure about Chilm's decision. Didn't really want to commit there, and I feel like you could have just run him down and killed him. You know, his flash is down. Wouldn't take that much more damage. I guess maybe lacking confidence that Pedersen was going to connect with the ult, but you know, you get the flash is something, but I was hoping for a little bit more there.
Yeah, not the most optimal one by Chelm. As lane swaps have come out, but Beast there now in this bot lane. Wanting to catch the waves here, want to have a bit of a safer lane for himself, as he still hasn't finished up his items. Got that Stride Breaker almost finished, but not actually put it all together yet. They're just letting Divine free farm up in the top lane. He's already built himself a pretty significant lead over Hoyes with those kills and the CS lead he's got. Now got that Kraken Slayer in his pocket as well. Going to be hitting really, really hard, while Hoyes sitting on most of the components. So still need to get that Crit Cloak before he finishes up either his Gale Force or Kraken Slayer. Traditionally, we've been seeing Kraken Slayer as the item that Caitlyn's are picking up at the moment. And while all this is going on, Camille is doing the Rift Herald.
Why not? No real contestation coming from Dusty. They're kind of in relative sort of damage control position here. Not really wanting to play towards MNM. Being down a fair bit of gold, and also that Jinx is just a massive concern. But Dragon's spawning up, and they have priority on that. So I think if they can pick it up quickly, that'd be a massive steal. It just means that Mountain Soul is so far away for MNM. And MNM also have to be really careful, because there's just this real threat that it might get picked up. They're not looking for a bait, and they kill Blue. This could be enough.
Oh, he did get hit by that binding. Ace in the Hole, Shockwave, he flashes away.
Flash.
Great flash by Blue, able to get away from that one.
Plant coming in. MNM wanted to commit to this.
Yeah, they're bringing everybody down. There is the flank by the Orianna. Legions jumps over the wall, but Beast is going to find him. That is not where Legions wanted to be. Nod into the wall. Best stance down as he flashes over, but Beast just follows and able to find the kills. The final spark only clips onto one. The zap over the wall as well. Here's the flash. Here's the best. As Pedersen taking so much damage in the back end as Camille able to take him down. MNM find 2.
And just a really rough start of the fight. If they got the initial pick, then great. But realistically, the dragon had already spawned when they were looking at that pick. I think they should have just started the dragon. There was no vision for MNM. They can threaten blue with a pick, and they would have bought enough time to get the dragon and potentially get out. But instead, they looked for the pick to find the fight. They didn't get it, and they end up getting absolutely decimated. Legions in particular split off from the team, gets just destroyed by the Gnar. And the Udyr right now is so strong, just running amok in the game.
Yeah, and with the dragon and the tower falling, the gold lead ballooning right now to a 3,000 lead. But we have a look at the fight again.
At this point, the dragon's already spawned, and they could have, set up the vision control, maybe start it up. But either way, being split like this is just terrible. Legions caught out, isolate, shockwave downs, not even finding too much value anyway. And at this point, they made the decision they don't want to fight, but their backline is exposed, and Udyr can just run them down.
Yeah, this is Camille just completely walking over his jungle part. Got level on him. Getting closer towards his next item as well. Divine, Kraken Slayer, and Last Whisper in the pocket. So we'll be building towards the Lord Dominic's as his next item. Not something like the Phantom Dancer. Hoyes has just finished up his Kraken Slayer. I'd actually like to have a look at the individual golds and see where everybody is right now. So mid, there is a lead. It's not massive. Bot lane, the lead is pretty big. And then jungle as well. Another gigantic lead there. This is where the gold difference is really sitting. There is a lead by Flaxish over Babista, at least. So it's a little something that they have. But I don't think the Urgot is going to quite have the same impact but a Jinx and a Udyr are going to have.
It's not even comparable, especially with the Karma as well, who can get such value with the AoE shields in this situation. You speed the Udyr up, you make him even harder to kill. The Jinx having that extra speed as well. Really, at this point, you kind of need mistakes from MNM. You kind of need, an overextension. You need someone stepping up into a shockwave. Because in a straight 5v5, Dusty just lose.
They are looking for a great binding, though. Pedersen will stop Blue from getting in range of his tether as the Super Mega Death Rocket goes a little bit wide from Dusty, but wasn't really going to have any kill pressure anyway. It's on MNM to keep this pressure up, though. They've now got this gold lead. They just need to keep and continue it. The Legion's off in the top lane, just dealing with the waves over there. And it looks like MNM's next point of attack might be this bottom lane. As I say that, and they're actually just recalling in the jungle. So they're not attacking anywhere at the moment. They're resetting. They're spending their gold.
I don't think there's a turn they could do. There's actually some pings coming out on Baron. They've actually sort of noticed they've lent too heavily bot side, and Baron could have been taken here. Maybe a bit slow on it, and that's the reason why Dusty aren't really going to go for it. But there were concerns. They could have started. They are now looking for air.
Yeah, they are, but he's going to flash away. Ragnarok's going to get used, and with Camille showing up, do not want to go any further into the jungle, into the tower. Do not want to deep dive anymore.
I mean, I know that it's good to get the flash, and I know the play is like solid. Like you get Air's flash, puts pressure on him. But we saw that exact same play, over 5 minutes ago. They got the flash, they did nothing with it. It's kind of like a repeat. They get the flash, are they going to do anything with it? That's a big question, because right now, Dusty are looking rough, and the only sort of consolation is they have 2 dragons in pocket, which means MNM are a long way away from forcing Soul and potentially the Elder Dragon. But that's not really sort of a great outlook to have. Oh, great, the enemy team can't get Elder Dragon, but,
Yeah.
they're ahead in gold. They're going to get Baron, potentially. And right now, Dusty, it's
I'm glad you mentioned Baron, because if Chelm dies here, Baron is a very real thing, and Camille gets the best and stun off. Here comes Air. Don't even need him as the Mega Death Rocket lands onto 2. And yeah, I think you might be right. Baron probably going to be in the favor of MNM. They don't have to worry about a Olaf potentially jumping over the wall and finding a steal. They're going to start this up. You got the Jinx of the Kraken Slayer and the Lord Dom, so it's going to go down very, very quick as Air is just on zoning duty. Able to output a lot of damage in these tight chokeholds and just making it really hard for anybody to get close. I mean, look at Pedersen. chunked out heavily here as Air just continues to zone and shoot these Qs over the wall. 2k health onto Baron. Here comes Babisa with the slam and the follow-up. The Stridebreaker Shockwave comes out. Legions does get himself the Everfrost off, but the laser beam's going to do a lot of damage, but Air is able to survive, and Divine is resetting. He is excited as he takes out 2 members. It's a double kill for him. Legions cooked out by Camille and taken down. Only the jungler standing for Dusty, only Chelm. And he's just respawned.
The fact it's not just the Baron, but 4 kills as well. MNM so far ahead in this game. A 7k gold lead. Gonna take another tower here. Gonna reset, pick up that dragon, and just be able to do so much with the Baron. This is looking like a Doom game 1 for Dusty already.
Yeah, it's looking incredibly hard. Divine doesn't even care about not having his team nearby. He is okay to aggressively push up into Chelm's face. Is going to reset now as the dragon spawned up and wants to move back and make sure his team can get that. He probably has a big injection of gold to spend as well for himself. Yeah, 1900 gold in his pocket, so probably going to reset off the back of this dragon. And then from there...
Gold difference between 80 carries is just...
It's disgusting.
It's ridiculous. It's so doomed, honestly. And like one of the biggest assets of Caitlyn is just a sheer range, and she's actually eclipsed by Jinx at this point. Jinx has higher range of the rockets, so it's not even relevant.
Babisa looking to hunt down Legions. Legions didn't expect the Udyr to slide out. There's a teleport coming in. There's a shockwave being used, but ultimately it's too little. It's too late. Flaxish teleports in as his mid laner dies. The reset's coming from Divine. He's got himself a Zeal and a longsword, so that Phantom Dancer close in coming. And now it's just a matter of using this Baron well for MNM. Blue does need to be a little careful. Probably a little caught out here. Actually just dead. Fear Beyond Death on Flaxish will find the kill. And a little bit too overeager as they are jumping in. The laser beam's going to come down from both Air and Pedersen.
An ambitious play. I'll say at bare minimum. There's not even close to enough damage to be able to take out the Vel'Koz in that one. And it's nice they got the pick on blue, but it is really pretty inconsequential. It slows down the Baron push slightly, but losing their jungler means, again, no real opportunity for Dusty to fight, and MNM are just going to take that bot tower really easily.
Just pushing that gold bigger and bigger. Hoy's takes so much damage. The shield will block out some of the Leandri's burn, but that is going to hurt. So have a quick look at the gold over time. Oh my lord, yep, it's very MNM favored. Game number 1, looking to start off strong for MNM.
It's a big gold diff.
We talked about, you know, over the last few days, but, you know, I originally said I think MNM were the weakest team in playoffs. We all kind of agreed on that. And then playoffs actually happened. And then we saw that actually, with Camille and Divine joining this team, they have proven me wrong. This is a much better MNM than we saw in the regular season. This is a team who are here to play. They're a team who are here to remain in the NLC. And, you know, this isn't their first rodeo. They've done relegations before. And with a start this strong, they could be one step closer towards requalifying for the NLC. But they still have to close out. It's still a best of 5, and we are only in game 1. They're ahead, but they haven't won yet. It's not over until that Nexus explodes.
You can see from the way Dusty are playing, they're desperate. This is very much a, let's hope someone face checks us and we'll get a kill scenario. They can't win 5v5. They literally cannot win 5v5. I don't see a way in which it happens. Because even when, you know, Legion's got a shockwave in the backline, it's just not enough. It doesn't have enough damage to pop them. Especially with that Karma shielding there, and now Camille. Yeah.
Oh, Camille dancing around as well. The Mega Death Rocket's going to do so much damage. Chelm slowed down by the Q as well from Air. There is a trap onto Air, but realistically, not going to do too much. The Baron has timed out, so it does get a little bit harder. That is so obnoxious.
Ow.
How much damage he does. Bindings by Pedersen not quite hitting, and Air is just being a nuisance right now. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Babisa shoving a wave up into Dusty's face, so they have to go deal with this, but it's hard.
The wave clear is decent from Dusty, though. But they're just getting chunked out. Like, the longer they defend, the more poke is landing on these carries. Trying to keep them healthy with Pedersen's shields and also the healing from the Moonstone, but it's just not enough at the moment. Eventually, it feels like something's going to crack. Someone's going to misstep. Someone's going to get caught by the rupture from the Vel'Koz, and then That'll likely be it. All MNM need. 10k gold lead, just shy of it. I'm looking for Flaxish.
Yeah, you were saying a misstep. I feel like a pick on Flaxis probably isn't the misstep. He's probably quite hard to kill at this point. It's fairly tanky, got a lot of health. As Beast actually losing out on that trade, but does have the Gnar, so Flaxis has to be quite careful standing next to a wall like that. So he goes in for the stride breaker, but Beast gonna hop away to safety and actually doing a lot of damage to him. Blue also needs to be a little bit careful. And I think it's a matter of just waiting for this Baron, waiting for this Dragon, going from there.
Quite slow. There is no pressure on MNM. There is no concern that, oh, suddenly Dusty are going to outscale. MNM are comfortable taking as late as they need. Dusty do have this window where they can try and establish some vision. I think they're trying to look for some sort of a pick off the back of this. As long as MNM are smart and they have, you know, Camille being the one face check, there's no real chance of them losing out.
Yeah, Legion's not with his team though, so this is all on Chelm and Bederson to find the kill, as everyone else is just picking up farm. Flaxish waiting on the fountain with teleport, and MNM are just like, we don't care.
Whatever.
We don't care about Dragon. We're going to go for this Baron. And
Yeah.
the Death Brush was set up as a trap, and there's still a tower, so Babisa feels perfectly safe to do this. They got their mid in the mid lane, Air, shove it away, and it's just Divine, Blue, and Camille taking this Baron. It's going to be a freebie for them. They can make their way down, look to contest the Dragon, but they don't need to.
Yeah, I'll
Rudy
take
managed
that
to get
trade.
2.
I think that's a good trade. Because all it's going to be is steer Dragon for Dusty, and we're never going to get another Dragon in this game at this rate. MNM starting to crack open the base, and with this Baron, Dusty are going to struggle to defend.
Ace in the hole, forced out, well, not forced out, but used by Hoyt just to poke. And the resets on the back of that Baron, going to spend the last of their gold, and I expect this to probably be the final assault from MNM.
Yeah.
Infinity Edge almost finished by Divine. Probably won't get it finished up in time.
Pinging top lane, looks like they're trying to push through there. Last tower outside the base available.
It's a 4,000 lead for Divine over Hoy's.
Yeah. I mean, even the shining light being Flaxish has now been eclipsed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how doomed it is. And look at the level leads. Air is 3 levels up on Legions.
He's massive right now. He's got the
Camille
Horizon
is 3
Focus, he's
levels
got
up
the
on
Leandries.
It's crazy. The difference is insane. This feels nigh on unwinnable in the team fight. They need Divine to walk into a shockwave or 2. Honestly.
Like, it's a Fear Beyond Death, Shockwave, Final Spark, Ace in the Hole, and maybe a Q from Chelm onto Divine. But how do you land all of that onto one guy when you've got so much to get through to get to him and so much range he's working with?
Yeah, I mean, if Jinx is even within range of a shockwave, then Divine's probably doing something wrong.
Oh, but Beast is just going to step up. Camille zoning away with the bear stance, gets caught out by the Everfrost. They go for the flip onto him. The Fear Beyond Death hasn't been thrown out quite yet, and Divine is just firing away. Hoyes is so low. Divine on that front line. Already a double kill for Babista as they find themselves another kill. Divine is just mopping through the members of Dusty. Nobody on MNM dies from that dive. They've got the Baron, they've got the base, and they've got this game. Game number 1 going to go to MNM.
Yeah, shockwave still didn't come through, waiting for the flash from Divine. That he ended up using it when it was way too late. A crushing victory from MNM. It looked like it was not even close, and this is a worrying start to the best of 5 for Dusty, because if game 2 is even, you know, if it's even twice as good for Dusty, they still lose. You know, they need so much more from this game. At this point, they just look like they're not even the same league, and you know, after the series, they may not be.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you had more to say on that. Yeah, honestly, the 2 new members for MNM have really turned things around, but also Air had a great game. Like you said, he had a big level lead over Legions. Just honestly, a really good game from MNM all over. And, you know, if they can keep that up, they can keep their spot in the NLC. But, you know, it's a best of 5. There's still more to go. And even if they win this series, they then have to go through and play Bifrost. So it's all to play for. We're going to throw to a break. And when we're back with our analyst desk to talk a little bit about that game.
Welcome back, everybody. And that was a very dominant first game from MNM. And really, it was kind of kicking off from level 1. That level 1 brush gank shut down the Caitlyn massively trouble.
Oh yeah, because it was all about that priority down bot lane. You have the Lux, you've got the Caitlyn, you've got the Olaf, you've got the tools early game to make it work. You've got the tools early game to make your lane push and have perma priority, but without the flash, you're not allowed. Your Lux is too squishy, you're too squishy. You won't be able to get away from an Udyr if a Kama flashes in for the bind and then the Udyr flashes on you, so you're definitely gonna die. And that will put you into a more dire situation. And apart from that, like, it looked okay-ish for Dusty because the Urgot got the kill, but then Camille was completely unlocked on the map. We said again, if the Caitlyn lane doesn't start snowballing, it just gets extremely hard for the rest of the map, and then Camille just could do whatever in the world he wanted. He was like 2 levels up at some point. He was running from Scuttle Crab to Scuttle Crab, from top to bot to like enemy jungle camps. He just did anything he wanted.
I will say though, Flash has got first blood. So out of everything that happened that game, some good things did happen.
One
for Dusty.
positive.
That was the solo kill, getting out with his life.
Under
but
the
it was just
tower.
like, yeah. But even getting that, it's just like that was the one who was your weak sider, and you couldn't play for it, and that just didn't work out. Orianna was shut down by Vel'Koz. You had no priority, and Caitlyn fell apart, and that sucked. So let's go back into a new draft and just make sure that we're able to play around that win condition that we go for. And I think that who chose blue side here? Dusty chose blue side, so
Yep.
they get the chance to go for one of these priority picks, even to secure the Udyr if they feel like that's just a superior jungler that they want to go for.
Well, we had questions around Camille, right? We said, oh, well, outside of Lilia, is he going to be good enough? Like, is it going to be that game-changing? Yeah, it was. He was
Scoundrel,
game-changing.
he's good enough.
Yes, he's absolutely good enough. Right, shall we take a look at the drawing board then? Because I believe we have a breakdown of some of the clip that you wanted to look at.
Yeah, 12-year-old analysis coming at you right here. And
God damn it.
You forgot 12-year-old emo analysis?
that's true, my bad. I just forgot about it. Excounter just hurt my feelings, so I guess my brain just want to forget about it. But what I don't want to forget is this Baron setup coming in. It's just so easy to go for this right now, because right here, Dusty is just so far behind. MNM's been able to take out that jungler. They've been able to go in and get the priority around the jungle in the beginning, and then afterwards they went to get the jungle pick and then go for the Baron. When you get this kind of Baron play and you get to secure that every vision around it, it's just so hard to play on. And even if Dusty wants to come up and contest on this pick, they're just going to be engaged on immediately. So as soon as Baron goes down, it's just over. And I think at this point in the game, Dusty's already lost. They just don't know it yet. And they're still going to be playing it long enough to get a second Baron on the map that MNM will be taken. But problem is just here that there is nothing you can do anymore. You had your chances to do something in the early game. And after that point, it was just going to be a stump from MNM.
Also, at this point, you're not playing with a Gore Drinker Olaf. You're not playing with the buffed Olaf. You're playing with a Stride Breaker Olaf. He's quite more squishy than he was before. He was falling behind in levels. He was falling behind in items. And you could see that the second the Vel'Koz and the Jinx hit him once, he instantly melted to that mixed damage scenario. So it was like really rough to play for Dusty's side.
Yeah, I think maybe blue side will change things up, like Gulborg mentioned, like maybe taking away a particular power pick from that scenario. But what I think I liked from MNM is clearly they had a lot of draft adaptability. They had a pick that was, I would say, a little bit pocket, which was the form of the Vel'Koz coming through. They had a plan for how they wanted to deal with Dusty from the very outset. And yeah, okay, maybe the Urgot threw a spanner in the works. But as Gulborg said, weak side, who cares, right? Like, weak side is weak side. And at the end of the day, you kind of let it play itself for the most part. So that was a huge deal, I think, for MNM. I'm really praising their draft strategy coming into this first game.
Yeah, and I think even their strategy in-game as well, like right now they're being creative with picks, as you were saying, Excoundrel, but they also not necessarily hard-forcing any plays that they don't need to go for. Once again, in this game, they didn't take any of the first 2 Drakes. I don't think MNM has taken a single first Drake throughout all of their playoffs games right now, and that is just because they are fine with giving up those first 2 Drakes. They'd rather get resources elsewhere on the map. They'd rather go in and steal all your camps. They'd rather get the first Rift Herald and put that gold into a lane that can just carry them. So when they are ahead of the gold curve, when they get to the 3rd Drake, they just start taking over the game. And that's what they have been doing so beautiful in this first game and the game that was past this one.
And I'm so happy that you mentioned this, the fact that they actually have the capacity of saying, we're going to let this pass because we scale better, because we play better, because our macro looks better, because our team fight looks better. It means that there is a plan that MNM is now following, and it's really refreshing to see.
Yeah, and I think all of that comes into fruition in the early game that you saw. And again, as Google correctly mentioned, really great macro trading, cross-mapping as well from MNM, and accelerating that gold lead. And this time they were able to convert it in the mid-game. This time they really pushed it. I remember the gold graph coming up, the MasterCard gold graph coming up, and it was just like, boom, in the mid-game, straight down into a massive lead for MNM. So they did what they couldn't do yesterday, which was capitalize on those early leads. We are going to a short break, though. When we're back, we'll have our second game in this series.
Ain't I mistaken? I've been here before. All my body is aching, shaking to the core. Wherever you go is a heaven, 724. Now don't go be misbehaving, but I'm craving a little more. Can't keep my thoughts inside, don't want no place to hide. Can't get you off my mind, all night and day. You always played it cool, oh, but I ain't no fool. I know you feel it too, so what do you say? Well, I'ma give it a try, baby. Don't let the summer go by, baby. No, don't wanna say goodbye, baby. Maybe we should give it a try. Why don't we give it a try? Ain't no mistaken, I'm taken with you. All my body is aching, awaken anew. Oh, I think I'm in heaven it's true. Now don't go misbehaving, but I'm caving over you. Oh, can't keep my thoughts inside, don't want no place to hide. Can't get you off my mind, all night and day. Yeah, always playing it cool, oh, but I ain't no fool. I know you feel it too, so what do you say? Well, I'ma give it a try, baby. Don't let the summer go by, baby. No, don't wanna say goodbye, baby. Maybe we should give it a try. I wanna think about every time you look at my way. I wanna make the most of this high, I wanna talk about every time you wanted to stay. I wanna make the most of this night, so what do you say? Why don't we give it a try, baby? Don't let the summer go by, baby. No, don't wanna say goodbye, baby. Maybe we should give it a try. Why don't we give it a try?
All right, second draft of the day. We are moving over to blue side for Dusty. Now, this is a shift up for them, obviously. This is going to allow them to have that power pick, which clearly was a power pick in terms of UDIF for Camille last time around. We'll see if there are any ban strategies that are adapted here for MNM now that they're on red side. But Dusty do need to come back relatively strong here, because if MNM are allowed to do the same thing again, we could be looking at a quick 3-0.
Yeah, but they're already changing the ban face up beforehand. They already had that Hecarim ban, they got that Lilia ban, so now they're already throwing less resources towards the jungle bans here, and that's going to open up a lot more for both sides as well. But that also means that if you go for the first pick Lilia, like, you're still opening up the Udyr that Camel just had success on. And then I think it's going to come down to the priority you get around the lane. So yes, you can secure yourself a good jungle matchup, but in the end, there needs to be priority in lanes to play for that jungle.
Unfortunately, Camille cannot play Camille anymore, which is a bummer. But I just really think that Dusty really want to run away with something like a Hecarim potentially here, something that can have impact on lanes, something that is much quicker at ganking, much quicker at farming than the Olaf was, because the Olaf fell behind really quickly. And with the Lilia buff right here, either Udyr or Hecarim is going to go through, or maybe both. I think if MNM want to play the 5-head strat here, you leave both open and you take one and you give one away. But again, I agree with what they did banning the Hecarim. You don't want to give such a proactive jungler away, and you can secure the Udyr for Camille again.
And with this, we do get the Tristana first pick coming in. Obviously, a lot of flexibility with this pick. We've already seen how hard it can dumpster in previous games as well. And we talked about, all right, maybe the jungle matchup is not going to be 100% dependent. You need priority in lanes to play for. And Tristana does allow you to get set priority in lane. But nonetheless, MNM are going for 2 power picks themselves in the Rel and the Udyr.
Yeah, Udyr coming through for Camille clearly was a huge pick for him in terms of early jungle pathing priority, setting up that pressure on bot lane. It's immediately Karthus and the answer that you always generally tend to get into Rel, which is the Alistair coming through now for Dusty.
I would like to see something like potentially a Jinx right here. I think it would work pretty well. It is something that the Karthus cannot interrupt either, because you have a really long range, so the Karthus down in front of you will matter too much. You've got the long range with the W and the ultimate as well if you need to join. You have a really nice beefy front line around you. But what's even better that I completely forgot about is the Zarya, because you can completely dodge the Requiem if you have that. Udyr's going to be extremely tanky. Blue is most likely going to go with something. He could go with a Solari if he wants to protect his entire team as well from the Requiem. So I just really like what MNM are replying with so far.
Yeah, I actually agree with Trouble, and I don't think Jinx would have been too bad of an answer itself again, because then you could just ban Malphite and just ban away the backline dives to come in there, and you'd be pretty safe. But Saya does offer the same, as you just said, and you get that ultimate for the Requiem, which is nice. So I would still like MNM to either just say, all right, let's get some tanks out of the way, so we don't have too much backline damage that can follow up to Tristana, that can enable an engage where you just go in with the Karthus and just want him to die. But you can also just go for the Malphite yourself or the Sion yourself as a 4th pick, and just wait for that Tristana flex to reveal itself.
Lucian being the ban here for MNM, so they are maybe considering Tristana as an AD carry. The Jhin coming through too, so essentially trying to ban 2 halves of a coin, the Lucian mid and the Jhin AD carry, to prevent kind of some of the flexibility, I suppose, that Dusty could run up with. Dusty now looking for that final ban. Again, Malphite could be something to consider, as you said. You could have more of the tanks sort of ban strategy coming through. Dusty really thinking about this one, but I think Sion for MNM would be solid. Like, or even Nah still up, by the way. Nah blind pick is still up and available, so they have plenty of options now. MNM did pick up Nah last time. Dusty were not particularly keen on taking that in a blind scenario, but let's see where MNM choose to go. Orianna.
Yeah, I mean, they
This
go
is
for
getting
that.
worse for Dusty.
It's like, they just swap it around. Last time, they had the Orianna themselves and counterpicked it with Vilcus, but they're feeling confident and they could just roll the chord with their own Orianna pick right now. They don't mind if Legion's pick Tristana into it in the Orianna. They don't mind if they come up with their own thing. And I think that might be a bit scary. Tristana is a champion that can punish a control mage like Orianna, definitely in the early game if you lose control of the waves. But nonetheless, they are feeling confident with it. And now the flag shall be revealed. Are we having a Tristana in the mid lane, or are we having a Tristana as an AD carry? Because there is still room for you to go AD mids, like the Yasuo, if you want to go in style there. But it's going to be interesting.
At this point, I don't think you can afford that, because you already have 2 AD deal. Yeah, you already have to. They're doing it. They've got the triple AD coming in there with the Ezreal, because I'm like, you need some more magic damage somehow coming through your draft, because yes, the Karthus is enough, but we've seen previously, if the Karthus is even, it's fine, it's great. We're scaling, boys. We're going late. If the Karthus is ahead, it's absolutely fantastic. 21 kills we saw yesterday, absolutely great. If the Karthus falls behind, which has been the case for Chilm in a lot of jungle matchups that he has played, you don't have any more ability power damage profile coming through from your team. And it's going to be extremely easy to itemize because Orianna, Seeker's Arm Guard, Udyr, full tank, Malphite, full armor, and you have a Rel. I am loving what MNM have drafted here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the frontliners for MNM, and I'm looking onto Dusty. I'm like, you're going to have a hard time dealing with this if you're not ahead of the curve. And it is going to be about that priority. If Karthus is not going to be successful, the rest of the map is not going to be successful because they'll get outscaled. The armor starts stacking up, and you're going to have issues. So for Dusty, make the priority work in the early game. Make some good setups, specifically around the Karthus, so he can get ahead. If you could get 6 before the others, if you can create dives, that would be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, but I think the problem is that Malphite was such a perfect pick in this scenario because he clearly wants to build armor. He's going to get free armor building opportunities here as well. And I think there's a lot of pressure on Shelm's shoulders, a lot of pressure on Shelm to essentially step up and be
A lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, And also, they don't really have a very forgiving composition. Like, if their composition falls behind the curve, like Gulborg said, like they don't have much leeway. Like they can get steamrollered by like this tank lineup.
Really quickly, the problem here is with the Malphite that you've got so many squishes lined up that want to be doing damage. You want the Karthus to move a little bit forward so he creates that space. And with the Malphite rather, your carries can just not move forward because they're going to get instantly blown up. And if you kill them, it's GG. Karthus can't really do much, not even with an R button. That's it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, MNM looking pretty solid in this draft going into game 2, but they need to execute to secure that second game in this best of 5 series. We'll hand it over to Hiprain and Ox.
Cheers, mate. Hello and welcome back to the Caster Desk as we're getting ready to go into our second game of this series. A very, very convincing game number 1 from MNM and Dusty. It's on them to adapt. It's on them to change. But the desk seem pretty happy with what MNM have put together here.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have priority in the bot lane. Mid lane is a position where the Tristana can look to threaten, but even then, Orianna is great at just pushing the wave in. The Tristana might be able to take control, but the problem is there's an Udyr. And I feel like this isn't a repeat the last game where this Udyr is going to be problematic for Dusty. And if Camille gets the ball rolling once more, I really struggle to see how Dusty are going to make it through this one. You got 280 carries in your team, and there's a Malphite in the team with an Orianna and a Rel follow-up. It's already looking rough from the draft phase. And really, it's going to have to come down to excellent execution from Dusty. And so far, we haven't seen that from them.
Yes. It's been a rough relegation series from Dusty, and we kind of
only one game in.
Yeah, but I mean, when I say relegation series, I mean like in general for the whole last couple of days. They've played 2 best ofs, and their first one they got 2-0'd in by Galaxy Racer. To be fair, the team that did 3-1 their way through the upper bracket finals. But even so, this is a team who were tied with a bunch of other teams and were in with a chance of making playoffs. But now they're in relegations, and now they're facing with the prospect of potentially getting knocked out of the NLC. They really need to pick it up. Don't want to give MNM a 2-0 start to this series, otherwise it's a horrible amount of momentum you're playing into.
This was a team who 2-0'd MNM when we had that decider to see who got the seeding for relegations. Dusty handled them. It just feels like Dusty hasn't changed then, and MNM's gotten significantly better. And we're starting to see that play out. And Dusty, big steps need to be made in this game. And really, I'm just unsure who I'm looking at to step up, because I think ultimately Hoyes needs to be doing more than he did last game. The Caitlyn just didn't really deliver. But I think Chilm as well. Chilm to Camille has just not looked like a favorable matchup for Dusty. And once more, it's the Udyr, and we've seen this champion just absolutely run amok. And if he does so in this game, it's just over.
Yeah, I've genuinely got snapped that Camille got his hands on the Udyr again. I think he was so impactful on the map. Because obviously the things that MNM have done is they've changed their jungle, they've changed their AD carry. And those 2 things alone just seems to have kind of tidied up some of the shot calling. Because it's not like they're just individually all playing better. It's the team as a whole, the decision making is just that much better right now from MNM. And
I mean, real talk.
catching
Real
Dusty off
talk.
guard.
What are the two statements we know, right? Jungle diff, and we know bot diff. And they've secured both of those at the moment. Realistically, jungler is just so great at orchestrating that early game and ensuring you have the advantage. And in the bot lane, AD carry in the current meta is that the sort of one who brings you through in the later stages. Having a strong AD carry with current itemization can really deliver in those late game team fights. And in fairness, in credit to MNM, the other players have stepped up. It's not just these two coming in. It's obviously been a revitalization for the roster, but the rest of the team are doing so much more. And it shows that small, I guess it's not really small, it's 2 bits of the roster, but it shows that like you don't have to change the whole roster to fix an issue. Often players will sort of react with the other players in the team and play based on how they're playing. If Camille's come in and he's been more vocal and saying, I need this, I want this, I'm looking for this play, then they'll respond to that.
Yeah, ultimately it looks like a more revitalized MNM. And these two changes just seem to make them be smarter in the game, play better, be more comfortable and more confident. Because one of the things that Gulborg brought up, and I might have to hold that because Blue's looking to jump into Legions, but Legions has Flash and Rocket Jump. It's quite hard to find him here, but they are going to go for it. There's the jump to safety, and he's fine. But going back to that point, Gulborg talked about it in our first time we saw MNM here, when they actually challenged Bifrost in their first... It was Bifrost they played, right? Yes. When they challenged Bifrost, they did lose 2-1 in that series, but they did challenge them. And the difference he said that we saw in MNM was previously, during the regular season, they would see things like dragons go down, Rift Heralds go down, and do nothing about it. They just kind of sit on their laurels and just bleed out. This MNM, we just saw it in that last game. They lost 2 early dragons. It didn't matter because Camille was doing stuff. He was cross-mapping. He was making plays. He was being proactive. And that's probably one of the major changes we've seen in MNM.
That's been a good look. You see Beast getting chunked out quite big by Flaxius, and like, in fairness to Flaxius, he does so much work in this top lane, but it just feels like the meta's not there for it. These advantages in bot lane aren't on mountain much, but...
Babista? He did not need to step up there. First blood picked up, and now Camille dealing with a passive from the Carthus means he's in trouble as Camille does have that flash. So Flash just overstayed. He could have got flash bear slapped to Camille. Might look for it here, actually. No, he's not that greedy. Okay. Or is
yeah. Okay, I think there were 2 players who misplayed in that 2v2, and they were both the ones who died, so... A little bit of an in-play from both of them, but overall it ends up being a 1-for-1, which, to be honest, I think both sides can sort of walk away with that reasonably happy. So, I mean, Bavista's coming in here. He just does not have the HP. Camille's gone a bit aggressive for this play. But I want you to watch the lay waste from Chilm. So, this one over here, he puts one down just miles away from Camille. That initial one, I don't know where that's going. And it's not even like Camille's trying hard to dodge. Those would just massively whiff. And if you hit one of those, I think that's a kill. Because Flaxius can just flash auto and he dies. So, you know, Babista definitely inted by running in on that one. But Chilm, you just need to hit one lay waste from the Udi, and that was a double kill for your team. So, feels like they were handed it on a silver platter and still managed to spill it. But either way, both teams taking the kill. It's not really an advantage or a disadvantage for either side.
Yeah, and MNM just getting a grip on this Dragon Vision. Chelm's going to do his chicken camp, and MNM, with the pressure from their bot lane and their jungle, are going to look to pick up this Dragon. Chelm has got a Blast Cone if he wants to go for a cheeky steal. Might actually think about it. He's got that lay waste. He's going to get stunned. Not even going to try it. Blue jumps over the wall to find him. Air.
They can take
backing
this.
Up Blue. Blue's taking a lot of damage. He gets Buster Shot back, and Legions actually just finds a really easy kill. A little bit of a fumble from Blue there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going for that play, you should see the Tristana coming behind you. You should just flash over the wall and join your Udyr and your Xayah. Instead, got caught in the mix, and another easy kill picked up by Dusty. 2-1 now, and they're looking better. You know, it's not much to say that compared to game 1, but they are looking better. Let's just see if they can continue that out. Chilm is starting to get a fair bit of gold in the pocket, and due to the farming speed off the Carthus, he's remaining pretty even with Camille.
Yeah, Babista getting jumped back onto by Flaxish, but doesn't actually land the slam from the R, so Babista feeling pretty safe just to tank that wallop and walk away. But Dursun's coming in for the lane swap, actually, and couple of seconds until this Rift Herald, actually a minute until this Rift Herald comes up. Going a bit ahead of myself. So we're not going to see any real attention get thrown down on that quite yet, as Divine and Blue are just zoning Hoys off. They actually get the flash, the attract repel underneath the tower. That's
beautiful.
a beautiful little dive from MNM. Divine will lose his life though, and Blue may bleed out to the minions. Meanwhile, Bederson getting jumped onto by Camille. And he's going to go pretty low, as Camille has to be quite careful here. Flashes over the wall. Didn't have air in the area to back him up. They are going to steal away some jungle camps.
I mean, this is working beautifully. Ezreal, you feel more comfortable putting him alone. Did he get died? Yes, but think about it. MNM committed both of their flashes in the bot lane, and they still end up losing a member and trading 1-for-1. Yes, there was a bit of farm denied from Poise, but you'll absolutely take that. And then on the other side of the map, Pedersen's free to roam and help his jungler out, so Chilm's actually finding an advantage on this Karthus. Dusty playing this early game really solidly.
Yeah, much better early game. Now,
Oh, Flaxis is dead.
Blackfish is in trouble, but he's about to gnar out, so he gets a bit of speed and tries to hop away. They decide not to commit entirely to him. I guess the lack of information didn't give MNM the confidence to just go for that play.
I think lack of flash on Blue as well. I think if Blue actually had flash up there, I think Babisa just ults instantly, and then you just follow up, but Flaxis managing to not get caught out on that one. They're still keeping the Ezreal bot lane just farming up. I do think that gives them more power overall, but TP not available for Ezreal. It is for the Malphite.
Great Feather Storm there by Divine. He's trying to get the feathers in the right place, but Durson's going to be the first victim of the fight. Legions will get Blue, but Beasta gets the slam. There's the bear slap, and Legions getting cooked slowly but surely. Flashes over the wall to safety. He's going down. The Gnar comes out from Flaxis. He flashes over the wall as well. And MNM ended up trading 1-for-1 with Dusty in a fight that honestly was very favored towards them.
Yeah, I mean, they brought in the Malphite, TP'd him in. That should have been enough, but it just wasn't. It felt like a little bit split on the play. Decision-making wasn't all there with regards to MNM, and it felt like they weren't even focusing the same targets. They should have gotten a lot more from that one. Just getting a single kill, really not ideal.
Yeah, really not at all. They don't even get a plate or anything off the back of that. No Rift Herald. So yeah, not the play that they wanted to happen there for MNM, but you know, at least they traded equal and they burnt a lot of flashes.
Herald's still just going to be left up and available. Do you see a pretty big wave being shoved in bot that no one's there to catch? So I'm not too sure about the lane assignments there for Dusty. I think Hoy's going to move down a lot sooner than he did. Legions had already arrived. And they're just letting this wave die. Okay,
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, yeah, they do. They
Yeah,
just
I guess.
let it fall over. Now, we take stock of where we are. The Shockwave is up, but Durson's going to jump in and get attracted and repelled. He is ignited. Shockwave onto 2 by air. No follow-up as Babisa doesn't have R. Health bars are low. Rift Herald secured. He's going to actually get picked up by Divine, so I'm going to make sure that they pick that one up. And maybe Dusty looking to fish onto Babisa in the tail end of this one, as Babisa has to flash away. Divine getting jumped onto. Flaxis actually goes forward. Divine's just dead. Really, really weird mispositioning, as Hoyce is also going to get picked up. Legions gets the reset onto airs. Here comes the Requiem. Blue probably going to get cooked here, and Dusty getting himself a really, really nice fight.
Yeah, they managed to clean up on the back end, and I think MNM, it felt like they wanted to fight. It felt like they were looking for it, and realistically, you don't have your Malphite ult. Not a play you should be looking for. Legion's just going to hammer away a bit of the air, but not find much more. And yeah, I mean, initially the fight did go in favor of MNM, but realistically, they got the Herald, and they should have just backed away. And they should have taken that and been like, we're happy with this. We got what we wanted. There's no more needed.
I think the beast is dead. Maybe? Maybe not. There's the Death Brush being set up here. They've looked for Camille. They've got himself the headbutt pole. Divine's coming over, putting those feathers down, but Durson's ripped through already. And now it's Legions. Trying to find the kill onto him as Camille jumps forward. They get the heal off. Camille will lose his life to Hoy's on the tail end. Blue trying to jump forward, but hasn't got level 6, and he is just cut down. Divine's next to go. It's a double kill for Chelm. Air getting chased onto. One more auto attack, and Legions can continue the chase. Won't be able to do so. Meanwhile, Babis has to ult to safety. Looks for the boulder toss. Can't quite find it. And MNM are just crumbling in game number 2.
Yeah, Dusty is slaughtering them. I mean, one thing I will say is Pedersen needs his level 6. Because he keeps going in and he keeps just instantly dying. But the engages are working for them. Chilm is just such a menace in these fights. He's so strong already. And if they don't burst him out, he's just finding the damage. Dusty just feel completely revitalized from that game 1. This looks like a different team. They're looking for the skirmishes, and they're being successful in them. And it almost feels like MNM just aren't prepared for these fights.
Getting caught sleeping, and here's the fight at the Rift Herald once again.
I mean, you don't have the Malphite ult. The Shockwave's already been used. You have the Herald, and critically, the team split. These are all things that say you just shouldn't be taking this fight. You should already have left. And yet they stayed around a bit too long and allowed Dusty to find this re-engage and get a handful of kills. And it's just time and time again. And this pickup, I mean, the engage is really solid from Pedersen, interrupts Blue as well, but without the ultimate, this Alistar just dies so quickly. Especially as this phase just not aftershock. But then they're chasing down in this cleanup. You look at the health bars on MNM, and they're still looking for this. Camille goes down, and then Blue, you are like a 25% HP, and you're looking for this play. It feels like they lost a lot of respect for Dusty after the game 1, and it's just causing them to make these massive mistakes.
Yeah, it's kind of wake-up time for them. As while that replay was going on, Rift Herald was used in the bottom side, and Divine got a lot of solo plates. Didn't quite get the tower. It was very, very low, but you can see the gold between the two AD carries is actually dead even still. So, if team really far ahead is Babisa, no R, getting jumped onto here by Flaxis. Flaxis should be able to follow him up, but Camille actually gets a good slam down, but the Requiem will be enough to follow this one up, and Camille will be able to trade back. I say that as he gets the bear stance and the Phoenix stance. Yeah, he can follow up and get that one in response. Blue has to be careful as Pedersen and Chelm are making their way forward. As Pedersen now under fire. Do dodge away on that True Shot barrage. Chelm actually just flashes forward. Divine takes so much damage. The Magnet Storm is pretty big. No Feather Storm for Divine, and Blue's just going to sacrifice himself for his AD carry. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, both of the mid laners are really chunked.
It's just non-stop battle throughout this. It just feels like there's not a single moment where it does not having to fight across the map. And again, Dusty are coming out ahead. There's moments where you're like, wait, maybe MNM are going to find this back. I thought Chill might die there, and that's a huge shutdown from him. But he does manage to survive it, and now he's looking for air. No flash. I think he's on the phase rush is enough to get him out.
Yeah, just about, though. They're getting pretty close there. Now, plates have fallen off, so no more bonus gold from that without actually killing the towers, but that does mean these towers a little bit squishier now.
I mean, look how low the bot lane tower is. Look how low this one is, and then move to the other bot lane tower.
They're both low. No, not that. We're very, very far. There we go. Thank you.
This feels like a Western duel where whoever
How much
fires
is the other
first
one on?
wins.
146. So there's 30 health between the two between the two bot lane turrets. 30
This
health.
actually feels like a Western duel. Whoever hits first just wins. But realistically, even that extra gold not necessarily going to be enough to pull MNM out of this bit of a hole here. One constellation prize, they do have that dragon. Having the Infernal means Ocean Soul isn't going to be come up too soon. But even so, I want to bring us back to something that Death said, Jake. I don't know if you remember, but they were saying how, a lot of AD damage on this Dusty composition. Yeah. And one of the big things is the Karthus being the only real source of AP. Now, if the Karthus is, falling behind, it's going to be difficult, especially with those tanks on the side of MNM. Do you feel like this is far enough ahead to represent AP damage? I'm feeling it, in all honesty.
Yeah, I think so. I was about to say, where is the Seekers on air to deal with his 1v1 versus Legions? And I cannot wrap my head around why Camille is leaning topside so hard when his bot lane are getting absolutely obliterated.
I mean, this would be a kill if he stayed.
Yeah.
But even so, like,
he's kind of power farming, but he's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead. He's just, there you go. I mean... Okay, so I've got several bones to pick with Camille after this play. First of all, why didn't you stay? Or why didn't him and Babisa at least communicate that was potentially going to happen?
Yes, I'm leaving.
And why weren't you bot lane? Chelm sat with Legions to make sure they... not with Legions, sorry, with Hoys to make sure that they picked up that first turret blood. He walked into the lane, that forced Divine away. Meanwhile, Camille's just farming. And Camille's down in CS as well, so what are you doing?
I mean, I feel like Chilm is just on point with this Karthus. Doesn't even need to be there to help out, and Camille desperately losing relevance in this game. But yeah, I mean, I feel like you want to be playing through your boss side. You want Divine to be strong, but right now, Dust just so far behind. It feels like there are limited options to what they can do. They are now trying to sneak this dragon away. Oh, big combo.
There's the Magnet Wave onto 2, but it's not the members they really want to find, and Hoys gets himself an easy kill onto Blue. It's a killing spree as Air slowed down by the Stride Breaker and just chunked out by all of the damage Dusty have. Flaxis even going to hop forward for a little bit more. They're going to get the second charge out as well. It just feels like MNM went back to what they were doing in the regular season. There is no communication between this team right now.
I will say, I gotta give credit though. After that game 1, I was feeling a little bit naive about my prediction. A little bit naive about Dusty's chances. Like thinking, is there really any hope for them? But they have bounced back so hard. Credit to Chilm as well. He was useless game 1 on that Olaf, and he is just destroying. And I think we can all agree, Karthus looks pretty OP right now.
We had this yesterday. This is exactly what happened between Bifrost and Galaxy Racer. They got slaughtered in most of the games. And then a Karthus got fed. And it was just the most one-sided game ever. Like, this game is feeling nigh unplayable right now for MNM. And I feel like that particular moment, which I'm sure we'll get a replay of, would have been MNM's key back into this game, but only Air and Blue were ready for the play. Like, imagine if Divine was there. Imagine if Babista was there and they were ready to follow up. I mean, just see this fight again.
But, I mean, what I will say is that they don't connect this on the greatest targets, and also, what are you playing for here? Like, you just don't have the damage just from the Orianna to kill them. And realistically, I mean, yeah, you can argue if they had the Malphite out there, it's a different story, but what are you fighting for? Like, you're losing mid-tower if you do that fight anyway, because the Herald's already down. You're fighting for your second dragon. It's like, who cares? It's not that important. It's not that big of a deal.
It was, if you're going to go for that, you might get 4 kills and a dragon. That is the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is what happened. No one came. So they had to go deal with the Rift Herald. They ended up losing 2 towers off the back of it. Divine is getting absolutely obliterated right now. Slowed down, has to feather Storm to keep himself alive. Goes in for the flash, and that's going to be the big turnaround. As a Requiem comes down, Divine will lose his life. So much damage coming out as Camille gets the shutdown as well. Not even really the person you want to find the kill onto. As MNM do mop up a couple of kills. Legion's getting chased onto. That's going to be the Gale Force used by Legions defensively to move away. Chelm is doing way too much damage for MNM to handle.
Yeah, that was sort of int that MNM needed, though. I mean, not sure what the game plan was from Dusty. You got the ultimate great, back off. There's too many members there. You have to pay some respect. You don't have the backup in this situation. I think Dusty getting a little bit too hypey there, and they end up paying pretty heavily in terms of numbers. But even then, I mean, Chilm just presses on. It's like, well, I guess Divine dies.
Yeah, I mean, Divine is getting... I think he was like half health as well, and he just got popped.
I mean, it's doing so much damage at this point. But you shouldn't be losing fights at all as Dusty in this position. So need to be a bit more careful. And I think MNM, it's waiting for those windows where someone oversteps or is out of position. Like this one.
Might be one of them. They get himself the bear stance and they're looking to stick to him. Great buster shot, but he's just sped back in. Says Divine's going 1 versus 3. He's going down here, baby. They do find a quick turnaround. It's a trade, 1 for 1. And another shutdown onto Camille. A lot of this gold is getting injected onto the Udyr.
Yeah,
I feel like Air and Divine are the ones who need this gold more right now.
Not the best target right now, but honestly, you'll take any gold you can get.
Oh,
Camille. Pedersen's going for the flank.
They have backup, but it's a long way away for MNM. And Everfrost coming onto Pedersen forces him to use the ulti, but he's already slowed down. And MNM are buying time. They're waiting for the rest of their team to get close enough as Air just buying space. They got on to Camille, and he is popped by Chelm. But Bista has the unstoppable onslaught, so they will trade back out here. Pedersen will lose his life, but Chelm now putting in a little bit more damage. It's a double kill on to him as he's getting the Everfrost off. Legions just teleports back in. The Attract and the Repel. The Magnet Storm is going to be enough to pull Legions away, and Blue will lose his life for his mid laner here. Chelm is doing way too much damage, and there just is no magic resist to deal with him. And I think this is going to be Baron Nashor.
I mean, they have the damage for a double AD carry and a Karthus. You can easily take this. As low on mana, but maybe we can come over and try for steal with a shockwave. But realistically, too late. It's already too late. It's going so quick.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough. That's going to be Baron Nashor picked up for the side of Dusty. MNM just kind of caught sleeping in game number 2. Like you said, just disrespectful. I think that game 1 was so dominant that MNM just didn't respect what Dusty are actually capable of doing. And you got to remember, like I said at the beginning of this game, Dusty were almost in the playoffs.
Yep.
it was very close between playoffs and relegations for them. Ultimately, they fell into the relegations, and they got 2-0'd by Galaxy Racer in their first game, but it looks like they are slinging back into this game.
And I think a lot of people will say you look at Camille really in terms of like leadership for the lineup. I would say that if he's falling behind when he's the one who you're looking at to be like the person to step up, you can understand the team really struggling. Like they've kind of been living and dying by Camille. For the most part, that's been successful for them. But here, you know, he's just not had a great early game. And yet he's been able to find these kills later on. But compared to Chilm, it's just been underwhelming. Chilm has been on fire.
Now there is the 1,000 gold shutdown on Chilm. If you can find that kind of consequence free, amazing. That's amazing. That the gold lead just shrinks by that 1,000, but the gold lead is still gigantic right now. And MNM, the Dragon's gone down. They knew that Dusty were on this side of the map, but the Baron threat is too much, so they can't even stay to take this tower. They can't even stay to get themselves a little bit more locked gold.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still a hope for MNM because it's just squishy, dusty composition outside of the front line. You know, Chilm is relatively short range. If he steps into a shockwave, he can go down, but it's still so difficult. Just the Karthus assault just means like I'm looking at Divine, but half his health bar just doesn't exist if Karthus presses R.
Yeah. They are looking for it. There's the Magnet Storm into a couple of members. They get the slam down already. The fight's already on, but Blue's chunked, and he is just going to lose his life. The Featherstorm's been thrown out. Chelm is legendary as he finds himself a double kill. The Leandry's burn may be enough to kill Babisa. It's not going to be enough today. MNM commits everything to find one kill, and they lose their AD carry. They lose their support. Blue has had a shockingly poor game on this rail.
I mean, that was the right play from MNM. They went for the engage. They killed Legions, but it just doesn't matter. I mean, they went even low on HP, and the Karthus assaults does so much damage. It just feels so hard to play into. Dusty going to take that mid lane inhibitor. Bot lane already down. Likely will just back off after this one, go for the reset, but base is in shambles for MNM right now.
I mean, at least Blue was at low level, so he respawned fairly quick.
Well, do you know the worst thing, right? Chilm's level 15. He's about to hit 60.
He's actually been found by Camille. They get themselves the stun off. I don't think they have the follow-up, though. Air wasn't about, and Chelm gives himself a legendary kill. They do find a shockwave, and that's going to be a kill onto one, but Air dodging away on all of this damage, but it's not going to mean anything. MNM just gifted themselves to Dusty for the second time in a row. Flaxish Nars back. Divine goes through the port, through the door. Not the Nar you need, unfortunately, Flaxish, my man.
Flaxish is that is such a tilter.
Through the goalpost, baby. Goal. Misses a fair few things, but that is a lot of damage by Hoyes. Ace coming in for Dusty. 25 minutes on the clock. A whole lot of kills. It's been a bloody, bloody game. 13,000 gold lead to the side of Dusty as the Nexus explodes. We're going to game number 3, dead even.
I'm just going to say it. The game 1, I didn't believe it would happen. I really felt like Dusty looked so rough. It was going to be a struggle, but they destroyed that game. And even in the mistakes, it felt like they were just on top of the team fight. And it felt like they were outplaying the side of MNM. It felt like they were just on form. And if we ignore that game 1, they're looking pretty good. I think there's a lot to be said for Chilm bringing out the Karthus. And also, as much as Legions didn't have the greatest game in the Tristana, being able to contest that priority mid was really important for him and to make sure Chilm didn't get run over this time.
Blue was 0-9 in that game. Legitimately, kind of a bit of a charity service. Getting caught out quite a lot, and ultimately that, you know, giving 9 kills over does give a lot of gold over, even if that you do get less and less gold as it goes on.
That's quite a few kills.
That is quite a lot of kills. Not particularly the best game from Blue. Gonna have to see if MNM can swing back. But for now, we're gonna throw to a break. Make sure you watch these adverts, otherwise Orcs will cry.
like running from the games you seem to play. Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna change up? Now it's over. Big dreams, big hearts will roll together. So wide awake now. It seems our hearts were always beating a different rhythm all along. Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna change up? Now it's over. Big dreams, big hearts will roll together. So wide awake now. It seems our hearts were always beating. Big dreams, big hearts will roll together. So wide awake now. It seems our hearts were always beating.
All right.
Oh.
I have awoken. It's time to rant. I am sick of it. Guys, if you can't play against Karthus, ban it. I am so sick of seeing 50 million kill Karthuses at 15 minutes into the game where you just can't play around it. Guys, if you can't play around Karthus, just ban it. The too many games this weekend have been decided because the Karthus presses R and for some reason your team can't deal with it. Okay? Too many games. It is peeing me off. I'm
That
sick of
eats
seeing a game
Karthus
being
pissed.
over at 15 minutes into the game and just thinking, well, there's no way they come back now because Karthus has got 50 million gold and he's just going to one-shot the entire team. Please, if you're not confident dealing with the Karthus, just please ban it. Please ban it.
We've had baby raids so far. Now we've got the dad raids as well.
Yeah. it's just-
Coming at you. So the problem right here was that we said the damage profile on the side of Dusty was like so one-sided. If the Karthus didn't do well, it was like AD all over the board. So the Odirs, the Rels, the Malphite would be so easy to itemize against, just pack on the armor, and then at the very end, just putting some MR in there for the Karthus. Well, guess what? MNM did the exact same thing that Galaxy Racer did in their game, and they completely freaking disrespected the R button every time. They would dive, they would take trades that they shouldn't be taking because it would leave them too low. And at some point, the Karthus had Leandris, and you would look at the tanks from MNM, and they would have Bami Cinder, and that's it. And you're like, but these guys have to itemize towards armor first. because then they're gonna melt in the front line for the other 3 ADs that this team has. But now the Karthus is fed, so it's unreal to deal with because the items are not rolling in that quickly. They were falling behind, and then I felt like their team fights just looked off, man. Like I saw Blue diving in miles away. His team in the fountain, Blue was like in the enemy fountain diving the team, and I'm like, the communication just seemed so off.
I think we can expect that ban as well. And meanwhile, the Carters did do a lot of damage. I want to compliment Legions as well on the Tristana. I feel like he did a great job obtaining that priority. I feel like he was way more on point this game than in the previous one where he was shut down by the Velkers. So yes, the Carters came in, but he was also enabled by Legions in the mid lane, who I just deserved a bit of recognition. I know the Carters was the main character in this anime right here in the game too, but let's be real, right? Carters is that kind of champion where you don't need too much skill around the positioning you have. It's just like, oh, enemies just screwed up a gank. I'm just gonna press R, and now they pay for it. And that is just the respect that some teams are not confident enough to actually pay to them. They're just like, no, we need to go for this dive, and they're like, oh wait, because we went for this dive, Carters just traded the kill back, and it's actually not that good. So yeah, maybe to sum this whole round up between you two, just ban it.
I completely agree. I as I said before, my rant kind of did it. It's more that I'm not disrespecting teams that are losing to Karthus. It's just that too many games in this relegation series, not even just this series, too many games I've seen throughout this competition so far over the last 2 days have been decided because dives have gone wrong and there have been Karthus ults and then people have just taken over the game with a single champion. Look, let's go to a drawing board. Let's break down a game.
Alright, let's talk about this Carters once again, everyone.
Oh yeah, break this down.
Let's
Go,
break
Bob.
it down.
Break
Look at that
this
right
down.
there. We're 9 minutes into the game. Have a look at the enemy inventory trouble. You talked about Leandri's Anguish versus Bami's Cinder. Well, I present to you the play with Leandri's versus Bami's Cinder right here, ladies and gentlemen. So let's just roll the clip, shall we? Actually, it's MNM doing a good job at getting onto the Rift Tile at first, and this is something they've been doing a good job in a lot of their games towards the relegations. And in the beginning, you're like, Peterson, what are you doing? You're ending this one. You're absolutely sprinting it. But what turns out here to be a very fat Carters with Leangris, who's just getting these layaways down, who's walking up, and then MNM, they're feeling overconfident. They feel like they could go for a fight. They're like, hey, we have a man disadvantage. But what you don't know is that layaways that just come down. Look at the damage from the Carters right now. It is nukes upon nukes with that layaways. Then, you know, they've gotten low. They think, all right, we're out. You're never out. Like, this is the respect Trouble is talking about as well. Don't go for this exchange. You think you have enough HP to go for it, but realistically, if you fall below 20% HP, you're already dead. That is the knowledge you need to have about it.
And again, this fight to me looked like complete decision making because the dude managed to kill the Alistar, and then what? You pile up on a choke point versus Ezreal and Karthus and Tristana. You give him the fight for free, and it felt like it started with Camille. Camille started walking in with the Odin that he gets chucked down so much, and then Air is like, I'm out of here because I don't want to fight this. And then the other team was like, I'm out of here because I don't want to fight this. And then it just completely spread throughout the map. When they have the numbers advantage, then they no longer have numbers advantage because they just get picked off one by one.
Well,
Let's take us to the next game, please.
Yeah.
Please
I think that's the case. Let's reset. Mental reset. Us, MNM, everybody. Mental reset. New bans, new picks coming your way after a short break.
paradise. This is paradise. I know I will find. It's got me feeling like nothing gonna stop us now, nothing gonna bring us down.
Stay sweet summertime, sipping in a high. We caught a fever for two. Go together like neon in the night. I know I'm better with you. I know that you see me the way that I am, floating on a feeling with no other plan. You make me feel good, lost in the moment. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good, love like I'm falling. Know that I'm all in you every time. You make me feel good. You make me feel good. Hearts running wild. You make me feel good. You make me feel good. Hearts running wild. You make me feel good. Here by my side, I'm in love with every little thing that you do. You're my paradise. As long as I got you, I know my sky will be blue.
Welcome back, everyone, to the NLC. I've been
God.
here
Aw.
with my
Hi, Freddie.
yeah, it is
Aw.
Freddy. It is actually Freddy. What do we call them? Therapy dogs? Yeah, this is my therapy dog after that game.
To me, you
Yeah.
just look like a supervillain who just, turn around in his chair, has got us sitting with your little. Well, it's not a cat at this point, but it's your dog. Oh my god, that is really unsettling. That is so unsettling. Don't do that again.
I did the most unsettling face I could think of. Yes, we have draft coming
Yes.
up for the third game. Third game draft coming your way, everybody. It's a calm environment here.
No, he's
Chilled
not
out.
stroking a wig. It's actually a dog.
It is actually. Who said it? Who even thought that was a wig? I literally
I'm
showed
just
Freddie.
saying. I'm just saying.
Why would I
Somebody
have a
tunes
wig?
in now.
Why would I have
The
a
wig
wig?
lick his
Just
nose.
casual. Look, you can see his eyes, and look, and now he's licking my face.
I cannot.
Anyway,
Actually, really cute. Oh my
Okay,
god.
yeah, this is
It's
the-
so
this
hard
is
to
the-
focus on the draft. That's a
this is
cute
the dog. This is. I mean, I've got Casper as well. Freddie, off you get. Casper, you gonna come say hello? Up you get, Casper. Casper's a lot bigger. Oh, Casper's a lot bigger.
Oh my god.
Casper's a
That's
lot
the-
bigger than Freddie.
That's 13 out of 10 right there. Oh.
Guys, drafts don't matter.
Drafts-
if Arthur
drafts-
stays
No, no,
open.
no, no. What
Ah.
the first two bands doesn't matter. What only matters is will we
The
see
Carthus.
the Carthus band,
Yeah.
or are we gonna see it first pick, right? So let's look at that dog again. There's such a cute dog. Oh my God.
This one's.
What
he's-
if, I'm
he's
telling you,
golden.
what if we ban Yone and 5 junglers? What if the next 2 bans are Carthus and Udyr?
What world are you living in where Nocturne is a jungler?
I don't know, mate. What world do you live in where people dive all the
Okay.
time with Requiem up?
Well, not this one, because Carthus was just banned, everyone. Let's go.
Yes,
Woo.
MNM. You
Round
did
of
it.
applause, everyone.
You've already
But
won the game, Eminem. It is over.
But
You're going through.
this time
Done.
around, you can just first pick the Udyr again, and Tristana is banned, so you don't get that takeaway. You banned Lily and Hecarim again. It's like you're just running back the first draft. What? Get the Udyr hit. Yeah, that just seems like a
Running
no-brainer.
back.
So now I'm just
back.
curious, what is the response going to be? Are you going to go for that Caitlyn, Olaf lane again? Oh, well, Olaf's not a laner, but are you going to come up with something new? What's the adaptation from the previous game?
Okay, so something that Ode really struggles with is heavy CC lanes, something that can stop him from reaching your backline. So something like a Xayah Rel wouldn't be a surprise here, coming from Dusty. Hoyes is really proficient with the Xayah as well. He really likes to play it. I think it was just like a no-brainer for them, whatever they throw at them. Because Ode, yes, he has a lot of CC, but he doesn't have like a lot of easy access to CC. So he has to run at you to get to you. And Rel really stops you with that. Xayah really stops you with that. She also has the furthest down. She also has the ultimate. So I like that adaptation coming in from Dusty.
Yeah, and it seems like the response is just going to be the Alistar for blue, and I think that is a good pick for blues as well. It's a neutralizing, or it's just an even matchup kind of with the Rel going into it, with Rel having a bit of an upper hand by being able to actually cancel the headbutt pulverize combo, but it can be hard for some players to actually do. And with that, we saw blue yesterday, we saw Ob in the previous days, and he was absolutely smurfing it on Alistar, has some insane engages. So if you can replicate that now with the engage coming in from the side of MNM, it's going to be absolutely fine. And if Sivir were to be locked in, as she just were, that's a lot of movement speed coming in for this conversation. That is enabling.
It is in the conversation as well. It is in the conversation as well.
There you go. Like, take 2 for 1 then. That's fine.
2 for 1, you know.
And then obviously the Udyr is going to have a lot of movement speed as well with that Sivir.
Okay, if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna run down mid lane, we're gonna run down mid lane properly. You've got Sivir running in, Alistar running in, Udyr running in, and at this point, I think Dusty need to build up a fortress around the Xayah and not allow anyone to come through. I really like the Mundo coming in here. It's one of the next tier junglers that have stayed up at this point, something like the Skarner, something like the Mundo, something that can play frontline around your Xayah, and I start getting rid of mid laners that can follow this up, mid laners that can all in with you, such as the Orianna, such as the Vel'Koz right here, something that can reach your backline together with the other 3 running in your face.
I like the Orianna ban here because the
Both
Vel'Koz.
banned. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he banned Vel'Koz. They're clearly thinking of just blind picking the Ori in this situation on their first pickup. It's going to be the Wukong ban following. Gnar has been relatively low priority for these teams in terms of where it's coming through in the draft, so I wouldn't expect that to be a ban. Let's see where. Okay, never mind. Just literally cast a curse myself. Gnar is the ban.
There we go. I think it's because of the Wukong ban came in, and then they're like, oh, Wukong's one of the counters that we usually see into Gnar. We don't see it work too often in the NLC, actually. But it is just going to be the ban response of the Gnar. And then we're left with the option, is this going to be a control mates pickup from the side of Legions with the either Asir, Victor, or Syndra? Or are you actually just going to go for a blind top lane here where you can get one of these tanks? And it looks like it is going to be the Victor for Legion, something that has worked out for him in the past, and something that can work with the movement speed that's coming in from the side of MNM. Like Gravity Field, keeping them away with the laser, that's what you're looking to do.
I quite like the adaptation here by Dusty with the Victor. I've talked about it a lot of times with the gravity field, the la, just gonna put it down and no one can walk in. That's what Xayah wants. Xayah wants the zoning around her. She has the Mundo, she has the Relna, she has the gravity field from the Victor. You can pick something like Renekton in the top side as well. Something that would work really, really well. It would be a gangplank that flashes. Does play a lot to create that distance between all these guys running into you and your ADC. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Flaxus go with something like this. It does pretty well. I mean, I would be upset to see it being R5, but it does work in this composition.
Something that has been banned a lot in the first rotation by Dusty specifically was the Camille. Now Babista will get his hands on Camille. Look at this draft. This is wild coming out from MNM in this third game. Now we'll wait to see what Flaxus chooses to respond with. If that's a Riven, I don't know what to say, but obviously it still have
Come on,
lots,
do it.
lots
It's
of
gonna be the
options.
gangplank.
Yeah,
You have to do it
Gangplank's
here.
Gangplank's good. I think it's okay into Camille. You can just
Renekton.
Renekton's fine as well. Renekton's fine as well.
And I think it's just that's usually what you want to go when you see the Camille here. But what I like about MNM is that with this bot lane that they have drafted right now, they don't need to go for anything in the early game. They can actually play towards this Camille, which I love when teams do. It's like, oh, we see the Xayah coming in here, so let's just pick a lane that's going to be clearing waves. All you need on Sivir is 3 points in your queue, and then you can start being this wave clear bot. Meanwhile, that is happening. You can play around the priority. You get the extended team fighting traits later into the mid game. You can get from this Seraphine, and there's a lot of utility tools you can use right now from the side of MNM Gaming, and that's going to be their strengths going into the mid-game team fights.
Any closing thoughts for you, Trouble, before we hand over to our boys?
I'm really scared for Dusty because they do not have any engage, but they have such great kiting and peel potential that I feel like Bobista, when he dives in, he's going to be extremely alone in the backline and will pop instantly, specifically with the Victor around.
Yeah, and I'm also not really feeling like Mundo's passive is getting a huge amount of value in this game either. But either way, we'll see how it goes. Our casters are ready for our third game of the night. We'll see if any team can take the lead in this series. We'll see you soon.
Absolute banger of a throw there, Scoundrel. Hello and welcome to the caster desk as we're getting ready to go into game number 3 of this series. Now that we've had the Carthus taken away, I feel like maybe freeing up MNM a little bit because there's no champion quite like Carthus. When you're going for things like those dives, but to be fair, MNM pulled that dive off well, but when there's a Carthus there, those dives are just they're just dangerous. They're stupidly dangerous, and that's things like that was what were costing MNM massively in that game. Now, we're getting ready to go onto the Rift. Orcs, what do you think of these comps?
I think MNM, it's very straightforward. You go fast. And they can definitely punish things like Legions on this Victor, especially if you're able to approach it from a flank. They can just run him down and make his life difficult. I feel like, though, this is going to be more based around the junglers. If Camille finds that early advantage, like we saw with him on the Udi earlier, they can very easily snowball this composition, give Dusty no space to breathe. Whereas on the other side, Dusty, they've got a strong bot lane now. They have a top lane matchup, which should be favorable for Flaxish. I think this could go either way.
Well, we've seen both games go either way so far. We're basically into a best of 3 at this point. But Dusty are coming up with a bit of momentum after an absolute corker of a game number 2. After getting steamrolled so hard, they just steamrolled back, and relegations have just been incredibly bloody. All of the games in relegations have just been more kills than minutes.
I mean, it's delivering for the teams. They're showing they want to be here. They're putting their whole fight into it. And there's never a moment where they stop and accept the game is over. We might be sitting here and be like, whoa, this game looks pretty doomed. That Carthus has a lot of kills, but the players aren't. They're committed and they're putting their all into it.
Minions have spawned.
Alrighty, well, defensive line's getting started up by Dusty. No cheeky invades or shenanigans like we had in game number 1. I am kind of shocked that Camille has had Udit every game. Like, sure, game 2 wasn't the best game for him, but this is a really strong champion. I'm just amazed that he keeps getting it.
I think the problem is that, yes, it's really strong, but, you know, it's one of those scenarios where there's a lot of things that have to be banned. Like, even then, the Camille was being banned away from MNM, but unfortunately, Dusty weren't able to ban it. They weren't able to afford it in this game. And I feel like the fact that they're already starting to let things slip that they'd love to be able to keep banned, there just isn't space to ban away the Udyr. And they've shown that they can deal with it if they get that early momentum. As Udyr, you know, when he gets ahead, he feels unkillable. He's doing a ton of damage. When he's behind, he just feels a bit useless.
Yeah, true. Well, we're seeing a early laning from bot lane. We're bot lane right now, and it's just the fight for level 2.
Jake,
Both of these teams.
Why am I the color caster you're the play-by-play with input like that? We're seeing laning in the bot lane.
Yeah, we're seeing Dusty win laning in the bot lane as they hit level 2 first.
Yeah, well, I mean, into an Alistar, you're always going to have that advantage level 1. Zaya as well can easily push the wave in. So kind of anticipate this advantage in the early levels. And I think Zaya Rel is a strong lane, so I expect them to be able to continue to sort of shove the wave in and take control of the wave. Obviously, at a point, Civ is able to contest, but pretty high mana costs altogether can kind of limit it. And you do see reset coming out from Dusty. We saw this last game actually come out from the side of MNM when they do find the priority, go for that quick reset, and use it to get that item advantage as soon as possible. Longsword going to get picked up, pink ward as well for Hoyes. She's able to sort of solidify your foothold on the lane.
Yeah, Flaxish is going to jump in onto Babisa, can turn off the shield from the precision protocol. Makes his life really hard. And Camille finds Chelm. Bear stands up. They've got the hook shot. They've got the follow-up. That's an easy kill for MNM in the top lane. First blood over to him as Flaxish jumps onto... Oh! Double kill for Camille, but...
You know, that could have been a lot worse. Flash is getting that kill, especially when you look at the CS advantage he has. Oh, seen play mid.
Yeah, there's the headbutt pole. They've got the follow-up, and Legions is already dead. Pedersen going to get locked down by Blue. Phil not quite in range. Does have the flash. Pedersen forced a flash just to get himself to safety. And Camille off to go get his second crab.
Yeah, so top lane, Flash is in a great spot. Getting that kill, absolutely instrumental. Gonna survive here. Mid lane a little bit messy. Bot lane a little bit messy. But the critical thing, the takeaway here is Camille is fed. And I was just talking about before, if Udi is behind, he feels useless. If he's ahead, he is so strong. And him getting those 2 kills is absolutely massive. So in this play, they feel confident because Babista is low, because they have a Renekton, but they don't respect the fact that Camille can turn up. Chill completely whiffs on that. Ignite comes down from Babista. It's a very quick kill on the Mundo. Essentially turns it into a 2v1 almost instantly. The Flash just finds his stun combo, nearly ends up going down there, but the big wave of minions actually helps him out. And yeah, I mean, this was the play mid, but difference being this is a level 3 Alistar compared to a level 2 Rel, and also the Rel is just so late to get the engage in.
Yeah, Pedersen did flash out at the tail end of that replay, so still on cooldown for him as Flaxish, honestly, just absolutely stomping Babista in this top lane. And Babista tried to get a trade back and missed the hook shot, so ultimately is going to walk away for the worst from that one. And on it's I think the biggest problem that MNM have right now is top lane. Flaxish is creating this constant kind of buckling point, almost.
And the thing is, he's consistently had lane dominance in these games. It's just been a really strong performance from him.
Not looking to get the call to meet off. He gets bear slapped. He gets healed up for the moment as Flaxish tries to slice and dice as Camille secures himself the kill. Now he has to try and turn this around onto Chelm, but I don't think he has the damage. But now he has the backup he might be able to as Camille's trying to dodge away. Chelm pops. There's going to be air to find the kill. Meanwhile, Pedersen will lose his life. It's a trade of the supports. Divine doesn't really have the damage to work with, but neither does Hoyes anymore.
I mean, we were just saying how much of a bloodbath this is, and it's continuing in this one. Air with a great TP to round out that topside play, so it does end up being slightly favorable, but still just so much action across the board consistently. Get some replays so you can have a look at this. Flaxish pushing up heavily, and he feels confident because he has his jungle shadowing, but Camille's there first. Gets the stun layers down. For Flaxish, he manages to buy time, but does get cleaned up, and then Chilm should be okay in this 1v1, but as soon as the TP comes in, he knows very little chance of him getting him out, so he commits to try and trade 1-for-1 and just isn't quite able to find that last cleaver. The bot lane, unfortunately, we didn't get to see what happened there, but both supports going down, and Poise and Divine throw a bit of damage in, but don't end up following through. But again, it's just hectic, heavy bloodbath, and although MNM have come out ahead slightly, it's still very close.
Yeah, it is a very close game right now. Dragon was picked up for Dusty as well, so they've got that advantage. And Dusty have been on it as far as early Dragons have gone in this entire series. MNM can't answer out for the Rift Herald as that's not still up yet, up in a minute's time, so it'll be up shortly. We'll see if Camille decides to go over and pick that one up. Is clearing through the jungle in that direction, so we'll be there in time for its spawn. Or will at least be in the vicinity.
And that's the sort of objective that can really snowball the game in their direction. I think a lot of these scrappy fights, again, they have gone in favor of MNM, but it could easily go back the other way. One misplay could cost you. And we saw that Dusty can run away with a lead if they're given one. So I think, realistically, MNM want to slow this game down a bit, look to prioritize the objectives, look to get control of this Herald, and potentially get some picks when setting up for it. Because the power of this Seraphine in the mid lane is not just that utility, not just that shielding, but the ult is so good at locking down isolated members or group members. Pretty broken at both.
Yeah, well, that is going to be the on the hunt. They're looking for the encore. Not going to be able to find it as the slam comes in from Pedersen, but they're all lined up. Only one get caught out by the charm, though, and Chelm, with the agony, is going to be able to keep himself alive thanks to the extra tenacity. Blue does get himself caught off, and again, not a great start to him this game. But
no,
I also do think Air fumbled his ult a little bit there.
That's a moment where you have to know whether or not the target has flash. Kind of felt a little bit disrespectful there going for that play. If Victor has flash, he should never die there, and he didn't. Legion's flashes away. They're able to turn around and get the kill. And the critical thing is, what are the rest of Dusty doing? Hoyes is hammering away at this tower in the bot lane. MNM opted to bring Divine up to group up, and it has actually meant that he's fallen quite a bit behind in this lane matchup. We're going to have a look at the gold. There's actually a pretty significant lead now. 700, almost 800 gold between AD carries already.
Yeah, and that is only growing as they're getting more time on the plates in this lane. Babista getting jumped into. Pedersen level 5, so doesn't actually have the ulti, and Babista going to jump into him, uses the Hextech ultimatum to dodge away. They got a lot of CC to work with, and Babista now has to run away from Chelm. Flaxish is going low, but gets a massive heal off as he just flashes into the cow's face, and Babista is just gifted himself over. Chelm is looking to cook Camille down, able to dodge away on the cleaver, gets into the bear stance, and the tower shots may not be enough to get the turnaround. MNM just tripping over their feet once again.
Yeah, I mean, great play for Dusty, don't get me wrong, but chill, man. Please, can you start hitting these cleavers? It is tilting me at this point. The Beastie gets chunked out initially and then opts to go on for the play, thinking they have the numbers advantage, they're feeling confident. But the AoE CC comes from Pedersen. Yes, Pedersen dies, but his job there is done. And Flaxus is able to get a huge amount of value here from this healing. Takes out Blue. The Beast opts to come in here. I think that's a complete mistake. And then Camille, watch the cleaver from Chill. It's harder to miss at that point. It's harder to miss.
It was so close as well.
Absolute travesty.
And we were talking about the AD carry lead. Have a look at the items right now. Full Gale Force onto Hoyes, Divine, double longsword, attack speed boots, and a cull.
A big diff.
And it's going to be first time blood as well. I actually don't think they're going to get here in time. Maybe they will. No,
they can take this for sure. It's
dead,
just
yeah.
Sivir, and Hoyes is feeling confident with his ultimate. I think honestly, Zaya's so good with Gale Force because there's so many scenarios where, as a Zaya, you want to reposition with your Gale Force to land your feathers, and having like typically you do it with your flash, right? Obviously, that's a huge cooldown, huge commitment. With the Gale Force, you can do it almost freely. And chill, please.
He missed it. Camille is able to pick up the Rift Herald for his team. It looks like they're pinging to use it in the top side. Flaxish, kind of aware of the play, though. They are bringing up air, though.
This is a hard dive, don't get me wrong, but 3 should be enough. We do have TP.
Juggle the tower aggro with the Hextech ultimatum. You got a lot of CC to work with here. Teleports are going to come in, and they are going to try and get this off in time. And I do think Flaxish has picked up a great little charm, actually, onto Legions as well. Means he takes a lot of damage, but Camille accidentally walks back onto the gravity field and is going to get stunned up. Meanwhile, Dusty go, all right, we'll just take mid tower. And they're going to whack away at this one. Divine not even bothering defending it. He just wants to power farm right now. And that's just more gold getting injected into Dusty.
But MNM should be able to take this one with the Herald. Whereas that mid tower isn't low enough to take out at this point. Dragon will be traded off for that top lane tower, but I think that's some much needed gold for the side of MNM. Just pull them ever so slightly ahead. Ultimately, not much Flaxes can do in that situation. Once one CC hits, they're all going to hit, and Camille has a point and click stun. TP from Legions, maybe not the best. Slow them down a little bit, but wasn't really able to do anything else.
That's nice. Now, there is a 1,500 gold lead between Hoyes and Divine right now. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad right now for Divine. Obviously, Divine has taken a slightly different build path, finished his boots up when Hoyes didn't. But if we toggle back to the items, we can see where we are now. So the boots have been finished up for Hoyes, and Divine's actually gone for a Sheen. So wants to get that Essence Reaver quick now.
TPing in, they're looking to contest this blue buff as a priority. They will get it, but this is not a good fight.
Yeah, they're bringing in a couple of members. Air still doesn't have that encore, so it's a really, really stupid fight to go for. And ultimately, it's going to cost them a lot as there's the cleaver, there's the headbutt pole into the Featherstorm. Air will get pulled out on the Blade Cooler. The shutdown is picked up by Flaxish, and the rest of MNM are just forced to run.
I don't know what they were fighting for.
I
really have no idea. No, but they got the blue buff, right? They got it, and they were like, "Okay, we got the blue buff. Now what?" And I'm like, you leave. And they're like, no. We fight.
To be fair, very different fight if you have Encore. An incredibly different fight. All of Dusty lined up, beautiful. That's exactly what you want. But you didn't have Encore, so just walk away.
True, that is a big factor. But also, I'll say that Dusty were kind of just running them down. Encore would have made a difference for sure, but I think it would have more just meant that MNM could have escaped. I'm not sure they would have necessarily got because like this is a Moonstone Seraphine. It's not doing that much damage.
Yeah, it's not as impactful. And I guess the Sivir
so-
wasn't there, and well, actually, Divine doesn't really have that many items right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you're right. Encore would have probably saved the life.
Yeah, they would have lost less members. I think for sure I would have got out with Encore, but it's just I don't know. I don't know why you're going for that fight. Like Dragon is 4 minutes away, Baron's not even on the cards. It's kind of just one of those where you're just like, let's just fight for the sake of fighting. And I will say, if you're gonna fight for the sake of fighting, you should make sure that your team fighting ultimates are on.
Yeah.
That is a
I think
definite
this is
condition.
like Divine's probably in a bit of a cold sweat right now. He just wants to farm. He just wants 4 items. That's all he wants.
Well, he is playing Sivir, so as far as farming going, you picked a good champ for it.
The deficit between the two AD carries is problematic, as Flaxish may find himself caught out here. They have the ultimatum. Flaxish isn't going anyway. It's just too much CC. Does actually get the heal and gets
You're
the
saying that?
flash away.
You're saying that?
Whatever. Yeah.
Flaxish getting the getaway, and they
How?
get mid tower in return.
How do MNM not have the damage with 3 members to kill him?
Well, one of them's a tank, one of them's
Yeah.
a tank, and one of them's a Camille, who isn't really that fed at this
86
point.
farm.
1 and
Yeah.
4 with 87 farms, so that's how, realistically. And they lose mid tower for it, so all in all, can't complain too much. I will say, I'm not sure if Babista's Ignite was up then, but if they'd use Ignite, that might have been a kill, because it obviously reduces the healing for Flaxius and does that extra damage. So maybe a little bit overconfident there. Legions is going to ult thin air, in case there's any
Hey.
ghosts hiding about.
I think Air's dead. I think Air is dead. He's going to throw out the Encore, looking to get a little bit of damage off into Legions, but ultimately mainly just clearing the wave.
On the side of the map, they will get this tower away from Flaxish.
There we go.
But killing the tower with more than a tower, I would definitely say. So Dusty can be happy with that one. Right now, Hoy's just chilling in the mid lane, clearing waves almost endlessly. This should go down just on this wave from Legions.
Rift Elder spawning up fairly soon. 50 seconds until the dragon spawns up, and I expect to see MNM want to go for that, but they do have to worry about ultimates, about some of the spells right now. No flash on there, no flash on Camille.
No Encore right now.
No Encore, though the Encore should be up in 40 seconds time. I think we'll
Yeah,
be fairly
just
close
about.
towards Camille and Air's flash as well, but I'm not sure if they'll be up exactly on spawn.
What do you mean Camille's flash? Camille doesn't have flash. Camille's got Ignite.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate this. I want out.
Oh, I was waiting for it.
I'm sad it's taken this long to get to this.
I was waiting for it.
God damn. Get me off this
Opportunity
wild ride.
arised. The opportunity arose. Arose, I guess I would say.
Yeah, if you're going to be pedantic, be right.
Dusty got control of the area. You see pings coming off the Herald. It looks like MNM are willing to sacrifice this. A little bit risky considering it is third dragon. It is only a Cloud Soul. I do think that Cloud Soul is pretty good for both of these teams, all things considered.
Yeah,
Like-
Mundo? Cloud?
Yeah,
Pretty
but
nasty.
considering MNM are a team who are like trying to outpace you, like they have a lot of movement speed from the likes of the Seraphine, the Sivir, and the Udyr. Having movement speed to like mitigate that advantage is pretty big. So essentially giving that one over as a freebie. They don't get the top tower they were pinging. They do manage to get the Herald though, so potentially you can make use of that. Actually, no, yeah, they picked that up and Udyr's got it. Cool. So they can make use of that mid, which I think is the game plan here.
They're already summoning it mid.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Dusty go, okay, you take tier 1 mid, we'll take tier 2 bot. I do think actually though they could be in for a little bit of a rough time on this race, as
This isn't a great
MNM will
trade,
definitely get a second charge out here. They're not
Yeah,
going to
this is
commit
not
for
a
the
good
tower
trade. Like you don't even get the bot lane tier 2, and you lose mid tower, which is a pretty valuable one.
though. And a chunk of tier 2.
Yeah, so I don't know. I felt like MNM were a little bit slow on the play, and then Dusty were just like, yeah, let's not contest them. I guess they were concerned about face checking them, but like, I feel like you have a Mundo, you know? If he's not able to face check, then what's he for?
What does he do? Divine's finished up his Kraken Slayer at this point. There is a Mortal Reminder, sorry, Lord Dominic's. I always get those two muddled up. They kind of used to be the same item, or similar. Lord Doms has been finished up onto Hoys. And then the Essence Reaver on the way for Divine, but, you know, the tank shredding ability from Divine right now, not there. Probably going to go third item into a Lord Doms to deal with Chelm. No anti-heal as well is the key thing. When you're dealing with this Renekton and the Mundo, sure, there's 2 Ignites, but if they're on cooldown, you can't consistently make sure that you're going to be able to cut through the healing.
Yep. Honestly, I feel like the Chemtech Putrefier would be a really good pickup for air. If anyone's not familiar with the item, because it's not a common item, it's like the support Grievous Wounds item. And basically, if you heal or shield someone, their next attack applies Grievous Wounds at 60%. And then obviously you apply Grievous Wounds when you damage people at 40%. So really powerful with the Seraphine. You can easily apply Grievous Wounds to everyone. 60% really strong as well. So I feel like that as a third item for air would be really solid here.
Really would be. Now, these chokeholds are scary. As this game gets later, these chokeholds do start to get scarier. Like, if you're grouped up as Dusty, sure, you have a big front line, but Sivir in a tight chokehold with a Seraphine, that front line is just delivering damage onto the back line. At the moment, we're not at that point, but if this game can go a little bit longer for MNM and Divine can start to stack up a couple of items, chokeholds become even more scary. You've got the Seraphine, you've got the Alistair, you've got the tools to keep people CC'd long enough that Divine can just free fire out. So it's something that Dusty needs to be a little bit careful of. At the moment, it's not too much of a problem. They do have a slight gold lead, but I think the main thing is the difference between the 280 carries. Hoys is really impactful right now when Divine is less so impactful. We have had ourselves a light pause, but it does look like we are getting ready to go back in fairly soon, so don't worry about that one. Only a quick one in this game.
Yep. So hopefully get those sorted out soon. I think at this point, you know, it's still really close in this game, but the big thing that's coming up is that Dragon in 2 minutes. Again, Cloud Soul, not usually prioritized by teams compared to the others, but I still think has a ton of value here. The movement speed, really useful for sort of kiting away, finding those windows. And as you said, Jake, the chokeholds. I think both teams can find advantages in them. It kind of depends on, I think MNM have the more instant impact. You know, they have Seraphine ult, devastating very quickly. But if you're in a tight spot, Rel is really powerful, Xayah is really powerful, Victor's really powerful. Either way, I feel like you don't want to funnel into the choke points. That's a critical takeaway here. Neither team wants to be doing that. And a big thing for that is getting control of the objective initially. If you're the objective first, you can be there. Most of the routes to objectives come through those choke points in the jungle. You can set the play up so that the enemy team has to walk through those, and then it puts them in a really unfavorable position.
Yeah, I kind of, you know, now I think about it, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Dusty actually also have a disgusting team fight in a chokehold. It's kind of who gets there first, who pulls that trigger first. Like you said, M&M's is a little bit snappier, but if M&M get caught out, if, like you said, funneling in, they could be in trouble. As the pause ends, and we're back onto the Rift, Camille, just taking out a quick pink ward, and Divine just grabbing this mid wave.
A lot of wave clear power on both of these teams, so they're kind of just getting deleted in the mid lane right now. Minute 40 on Dragon. You can see MNM currently have control of the area. I want to see resets coming out from Dusty. You can see Legions is going for one now. I want to see them push in to get control of this area. You have a Mundo, you have a Renekton, more than capable of face checking. If you get that 4th Dragon, there's your soul. There's your win con. Not sure it's quite enough to really just win the game automatically, but it definitely helps.
Well, we're seeing a reset coming in from Divine. I'm assuming the Essence Reaver, or most of the Essence Reaver, is going to be finished up here. Yeah, pretty much there. Just a little bit of gold to go. We'll catch a couple of waves, and we'll want to reset before that Essence Reaver.
I don't think you have time.
Try and have it done in time. But yeah, it probably doesn't have time, actually, as we have got 50 seconds. So it's quite a cheap item, so maybe one wave. I think it's like 200 gold at this point.
The thing is, if you reset this late,
no, it's less. It's more than that then.
If you reset this late, you're not going to be there in time. Like, my rule with objectives is that there's no being on time for an objective. You're either early or you're late, you know?
Yeah.
If you're not already set up and prepared for it, you are late. The enemy team has already done that. You're going to have to face check in the fog of war. You can see Justy deep pushing this wave and moving over. Essence Reaver's been picked up by Divine. But you're late. Objective's not off for 20 seconds. It doesn't matter. The vision's already established. The control's already been made. MNM can try and push mid and rotate towards Baron, but I feel like that will just sacrifice the dragon, so they're looking to push in here. They don't want to give this one up.
Yeah, this would be a very, very detrimental one to lose, and that's going to be the engage already. The Encore slides through multiple members to find on that backline, killing Flaxis. The shutdown for air already. It's Babista in the middle of everyone, gets himself a shutdown as well. Dusty have been thwarted. Only 2 members standing, and air continues to chase. The lockdown onto Legions isn't going to be quite enough, but there is the gravity field. Camille able to jump away a little bit more as he is chasing Legions down. You can get a little bit of movement speed, but that is going to be the Phoenix stance into the kill. Camille now taking a couple of cleavers from Chelm. And one of the things we haven't noted is Camille has a 2-level lead over Chelm.
I mean, Camille is pretty strong. He is absolutely doing work here on this Udyr. And I just felt like the instant impact in that fight came from MNM. They found the windows initially. They found access on the Hoys. Hoys got deleted. We have a TP coming in from this Renekton. I'm not sure this is going to work.
I mean, everyone's basing. And, yep, there we go,
You
don't
play
worry.
backed out again? Because they're like,
Although, hold
let's see
on,
if this
I
works.
don't actually want to go to replay yet, because Dusty might just rush this Baron. They're doing it.
What?
They're teleporting in.
Wait. Oh, that was a spectator bug. I thought that Xayah didn't get over the wall. It looked very, you know what I mean? It looked weird at first.
I was looking at the wards. Camille is, yeah, they're unaware.
he's gone.
They're unassuming. Someone might step out and be seen by this ward. They finally know what's going on, I think. We toggle the vision a little. Yeah, they know what's going on. But
I
it's
mean,
too
if you
late.
don't know at this point, I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, they get the Baron. So I'm gonna say pretty good trade. This Cloud Dragon for MNM compared to, you know, a Baron for the team adds such a good trade. Now we're gonna replay this fight. Beautiful engage here by Blue. That's something I want to highlight initially. But watch Hoys in this fight. So the engage in this ult as well from the Seraphine disrupts the front line. But Hoys gets locked down, gets deleted here, doesn't get room to do anything. And the front line is actually being devastated because that Seraphine ult, this is the reason why this champion is so good, hit the front line, continued onto the back line, and just got so much value there. Just chasing down the kills here. You can't really escape the Udyr in a long lane. Had moved back to live. We do have the Chemtech Fire from air, so cutting down a lot of that healing. And it is Dusty ahead in gold. It is Dusty with the Baron, but you can see they're starting to feel a bit tentative, having lost that last fight. They're a little bit unsure of themselves.
Yeah, and they were the ones to start that engage as well. That was what we're talking about. They were the ones that went for the engage, but just a snappy turnaround from MNM. Really problematic. And with the fact that Divine, I think he spell shielded the Magnet Storm. Man, he was nice and safe. As Air's just catching the mid wave away from the Baron buff so they could just kill it.
I think a big issue for me was Flaxis came straight on instead of a flank. If you're against a Seraphine, you got to come in from a different angle. If you're running through the team fight, you're just going to get locked down.
Oh, they're teleporting in. They're looking for this fight.
yeah.
Camille trying to, like a sheepdog, herd all of Dusty. That's the ultimate being popped. Here comes the Encore. Everybody is caught out. Hoys jumped onto, but he will get himself a kill onto the backline. It's Divine able to cut down another member. MNM removing Baron, one member at a time away, as Hoys is just insanely low. Divine is being isolated and left alone, though. And now the backup is here for Dusty.
I don't think they have the
just look to
damage.
try and find themselves a bit of a turnaround. Camille's very low. They haven't really got the damage to work with. They're trying to keep Air alive, but he's locking the members up, and he's not going to be able to survive this one. Blue will sacrifice his life. It's a double kill for Chelm. They left
Chelm
Divine
just-
alone.
Yeah, Chelm was a monster there. Ran straight at Divine, and as soon as Divine's down, the Beastie was already dealt with by Hoys. They just didn't have the damage to follow through. You cannot kill this Renekton and Mundo without your high damage carries. And so they just instantly targeted Air. As soon as Air's gone, Camille and Blue were easy picking. So we're going to replay off this one. The movement speed from Civic critical here for finding the engage. Hoys gets stunned, but the follow-up isn't there quick enough. He doesn't get charmed. Root onto Babista there, and he goes down. And now it's still looking favorable for MNM, but they've lost one of their main carries. Divine's quite low following through, and they all prioritize chasing down Hoys, and this is a mistake. Hoys is out of the fight. He's like 10 HP, but they leave Divine alone. Divine goes down, and now you have 2 tanks and a Seraphine who's full support. And Dusty make the complete right decision to prioritize the Seraphine here and shut down that squishier carry. But even if Seraphine hadn't died quickly, the damage just isn't really there to deal with these bruises, and they're able to chase down Blue and finish off the fight. So really strong performance from Flaxis and Chilm there, joining the fight a little bit later and finding so much impact.
They're going in once again, though. They are just constantly looking for these fights. Blue comes in. That's the encore. No! Hoist isn't caught out, but he does lose his life eventually. Divine is free firing away. MNM's health bars are melting to the Chaos Storm from Legions. Blue and Air on the run. Nowhere to go. Divine isolated away from his team. Blue on the run as well. Camille just so
Come on,
low
Shield,
health.
hit the cleaver.
And Flaxish is going to
Hit the
look to
cleaver.
change. Divine is getting jumped onto by Flaxish. This is going to be everyone on MNM falling down once again. The ulti from Air was just a little bit too off the mark, and that meant Hoist did not die instantly. Beautiful turnaround from Dusty.
Yeah, I mean, the problem was the positioning. They went for that initial engage, but Dusty were already under tower. They killed Hoist, but he bought a lot of time because he didn't get hit by the ultimate, and Legions didn't go down. The Victor being on the back line means Divine can't play fights effectively. His short range was under threat. And once more, Chium and Flash is absolutely monstrous on these frontline duo buddies, just devastating the side of MNM. And MNM, they don't have the damage. They just don't have the damage. They don't have any AP damage in their composition, really. You have a support Seraphine, and you have, you know, Udia's Phoenix damage. And so these tanks are just unkillable. I mean, look at the items on this Mundo. Deadman's, you have the Frostfire Gauntlet and a Thornmail. There's no one on MNM who can kill him through that.
I just don't know why MNM engaged so hard there. It just felt really unnecessary.
I mean, look how deep this is. They don't get the initial engage. They're under tower. The combo comes in great. Doesn't connect with the ult because it's straight after. Yes, Hoist dies, but look at the Chaos Storm here doing so much work. Camille's already down. Blue and Camille are chunked out. Divine wants to enter the fight here, but can't because of Legions. And it just allows the front line just to start running amok.
Just a really sloppy fight, and Divine once again just gets picked off at the end by one of the two frontliners. Are they doing it again? They are doing it again. Hoist has to jump away. That's going to force the teleport and the Featherstorm this time. But Divine is isolated. Divine tries to jump away. That time the charm's a bit better. And MNM are actually doing the damage. But Durson's out of the fight. But Flaxish and Charm, so tanky. They found themselves the shutdown. Flaxish jumps in onto the backline, trying to find the kill onto a couple of members. He's got himself a double. He's got himself the triple kill. That's going to be the final axe and the final nail in the coffin for MNM. Dusty, find the ace.
Poise is just the bait. At this point, he literally means nothing to the team. Zero value in that team fight at all. I'm just going to be honest. He did nothing but die, but he baited MNM in. MNM overcommit. Legion survives. He gets a damage down, and once again, Shield and Flashes in particular. We've seen him win lane 3 games in a row, and this time it finally meant something. On the Renekton, he's an absolute monster. They're going to close this one out. They're going to put themselves in the 2-1 position, and they are going to be 1 game away from taking the series.
One step closer to re-qualifying to the NLC as Dusty take game number 3. Honestly,
This is hypey.
This is getting good. This is getting real good. Honestly, superb game from Chelm and Flaxish, but also Legions. I think Legions really stepped up this game.
I'm just gonna say, I found it really in that last fight. Hoist, like, I don't know why he ulted. He kind of ulted like really randomly, and he just died. And I don't want to rag him too hard because he was targeted very heavily. But that last fight, he really like did nothing, and it just didn't matter. And like, I feel for him because if you're in that position as AD carry where everyone is just targeting you, it feels impossible. But it just didn't matter. It just literally frontline is OP, top lane relevance for once.
Yeah, finally, Flaxish had a game where he actually mattered. Something most top laners can't say at all at the moment. Feels bad, man. We're going to throw her a break, and when we're back, we'll have the analyst test to break that game down. See you in a moment.
If you wanna find love, then you gotta have faith. The world is on your side. The world is on your side. If you wanna find love, then you got to have faith. The world will be your guide. The world will be your guide. No, I don't care. No one can tear you down. We'll lift you up. It's about here and now. Yeah, you're gonna find love. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. If you wanna find love, then you got to have faith. The world will be your guide. The world will be your guide. No, I don't care. No one can tear you down. We'll lift you up. It's about here and now. Yeah, you're gonna find love. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night.
The woods are better for the trees. Hey, yeah. The birds sing higher with the breeze. Hey, yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. We are really into a series now. Dusty somehow bringing it back, and actually, that is a really good result for them because that puts them 2-1 now, and they had the momentum going into that fourth game of the series.
Yeah, and the lanes were going great for them, right? We talked about the two compositions that they had, and we said that MNM wanted to be engaging on them, but then Dusty had the perfect composition to kite it backwards, and to start damaging their opponents, whoever was in their face. And then at some point I said, I think Camille is going to be just extremely alone in the backline, whether fed or not. This Camille was extremely underfed. So not only was she dive in the backline all alone, she wasn't able to get the execute because she didn't have the items, she didn't have the gold leads, didn't have the experience extra on the opponent ADC. And then the rest of the team were just faced with such a big block of beef in front of them, with the Mundos, the Renekton's, everyone's in front of them, that they just couldn't move forward. And the Sivir was just not getting any auto attacks in or any meaningful ones. So yes, early mid, it looked okay and it looked close. But when it comes to team comps late, Dusty was way superior.
Yeah, first off, huge difference in the AD carries there in terms of items and in terms of level about how they actually played that out. And also, Flagshiz, hello, finally showing up because he's a guy that we've been having a lot of flack on for sometimes losing counter matchups, sometimes you should just put it on weak side, yada, yada, yada. On this Renekton this time around, turned up with Chell. In the early game, backline did die to the Camille. It was only in the late game when they got the items they were able to blow her up, but whenever MNM just went in there and killed the entirety of backline, Chell and Flagshiz was just 2v3ing the rest of them and just absolutely dumpstering them. So really beautiful play and teamwork between those guys, which we don't really highlight that often, so let's give it to them in the relegation series.
I mean, I think I think this is the time where I've said over and over again about Dusty. Like, the Flagshish is a great player. They've got some great talent on the roster. I really feel like the talent didn't deserve to be at this level of play. Like, I thought they were guaranteed like mid-table NLC. But they're coming alive when it counts. Like, again, if they win this series, they go through and then they win. They go up against Bifrost, where they could potentially get themselves back into the NLC. They got one more game and they put MNM down into the UKLC. Now let's have a look at the play that we wanted to break down from this game. I don't know who's doing it. It surprised me.
Well, I can tell you what, he's 12-year-old and he looks like an emo scoundrel, so let's play
it's
the
you.
clip right here. Great, thank you. And in the beginning, it's going to be a setup before the Drake, so they're feeling really confident here. To set the kind of stakes or to give the perspective of what's happened so far, MNM has just started winning the fights. They just got Drake the previous Drake 4 minutes before, and it looks like they're actually coming out ahead in fights. But at this point in time, they're beginning to overforce them. And as we roll the clip, you're going to see an example of that. They try to go in and catch them, but they just get too far forward here and inevitably goes under the tower. Now, Legions get out with a really great flash, and while they just go onto Hoist, which is, no Featherstorm is going down, the rest of them and the Rail is actually going to be dragging them back into the Victor. So as you can see here, being dragged down by the Magna Storm in the Chaos Storm as well, and it's just absolutely making it impossible for them to fight. Now, Divide is trying to come in from the side, is going to be trying to do something with his Sivir build at this point in time, but he's not just going to be able to do anything, and he's just going to get cleaned out as well. And the most pivotal part about this is Drake was spawning in 1 minute. So this just means that you're forcing a fight where the enemy is on soul point. As MNM, you could have this set up for this Drake, but you decided to take it under the enemy tower, and Dusty just was like, you cannot disrespect us like that, and just went ham on them instead.
And so now we're going into like the potentially the final game of the series for Dusty. What do you think's worked for them and what hasn't? Like, what do you think Dusty should stick to guarantee success in this next game?
Well, I definitely think it's about some priority in the mid lane, and also think having Chell on something that's at least for me is comfortable for him, where he can actually shine.
Oh, trouble? You muted?
I did one of you guys. All right, so I think the key here, the key strategy is just to get the top lane ahead, because it feels like whichever top laner falls behind ends up losing the game. So having something like a really fed Renekton and really fed Camille, someone who can impact the front line and sort of run around together with the junglers, it seems like so far it's winning the game. So I'd say don't necessarily focus too much top lane, just make sure that your top lane is safe enough to not fall behind.
Okay, well, that's a relatively sort of double-breasted answer there. We've got one from Gulborg saying mid lane priority, one from Kobel saying let's focus on the top lane. But I think both are equally as important in essentially both situations too. Even if you're going weak side for Flaxius, just give him a little bit of an edge in that top lane matchup. But we obviously have more drafts coming your way, so we're going to go to a very short break, and when we're back, we're jumping into our fourth game of the series.
We fall so hard to tend the gardens for strong and lonely hearts. The roofs are falling under the bulls left in the summer, striving to find places for cover. We can't look back. Breaking your backs and falling on the stone. Out on my own. This land of which we claimed, wash it from our hands. Don't flinch or move a mile. It's safer for the houses are proud. We'll live near the forest. Say all your prayers. Ears to the ground. We can't look back.
What's that strange face staring at me in the mirror? In the mirror, what's this strange change of season coming over, coming over? It goes on and on and on, and it never seems to stop. It goes on and on and on. What do I need? What do I need? I need to make it happen. To make it happen. Oh man, it ain't that easy, easy. What do I need? I need to make it happen. To make it happen. Oh man, it ain't that easy, easy.
Right, we're into our fourth draft of the evening. It is Dusty on blue side, MNM on red, and Lilia straight off the bat banned away.
Take it, Gulborg. Go
All
on.
right, sorry. Yeah, makes sense again. So I want to see how you actually add up into this one, because my thoughts is you want to ban the counter still, I believe, and you're probably going to be leaving up the Tristana, because Dusty never bans Tristana on blue side. So it's going to be opening up a lot of picks here from the side of Dusty, because if you ban the Tristana, then you leave open the Nocturne, and then they're just going to go with the Nocturne instead, probably. So I think from MNM, they need to have something decided, because they chose red side themselves. So they need to come in with a plan here.
I don't think leaving Nocturne open is a wise choice for any team, because then you're going to have to choose between the Tristana and the Nocturne. Okay, you ban the Tristana, so here you have to force the Nocturne, or it stays open. And then you've got Hecarim and you've got Udyr, and then Dusty gets the first dip on the jungle pool, what they want to pick for Chilm.
Let's see what everyone choose to ban. May leave it open and just say, well, okay, if you don't want to pick it, then we'll get maybe a priority jungle pick in return. But no, they go for the Nocturne ban. I imagine Chelm goes for something like the Udyr here, but it's
I'd
not
say
something that
Hecarim.
Yeah, I was gonna say as well.
Hecarim's good. There you go.
So with this, they leave over the Hecarim. They make sure that if you end up in a situation where you would have gone for Hecarim or Tristana, they would have picked Tristana, and the enemy would have probably picked Hecarim then. So they just leave out all the options by doing this. Now, from the side of MNM, you can go from the Udyr. Once again, I don't think the jungle-specific picks have been a problem. Yes, Nocturne was a problem because he was good, but I don't think they came into the pick and ban phase and was like, man, I really think Udyr was the problem. I still think it's the priority around the laners, and specifically from the last game, the fact that Hoist was so far ahead of the Vine made it so easy for the rest of them to rotate around the map and continuously stack these early objectives. Because MNM, they like giving over the early objectives, but they do not like not being able to contest the third Drake.
And a Rel, I was about to say Rel Udyr sort of combination would be great. But another thing is you're threatening with the Gragas. Yes, you open completely your cards and you're like, we're putting Gragas in the top lane. But Gragas is a very versatile champion. He does well against almost everything that you'll put against him. Against something completely aggressive, something like a Jace, something like a Queen, which I think he's also pretty fine against because he has a lot of HP region with his W. He'll do fine. And they can wait and pick their Zarya, which would be a great pick for them on the third pick, or pick the Udyr. I don't think an ADC here would make much sense. I think you really want to pin down your jungle and go for the Udyr, because if you don't, what are you left with? Unless you want to go with something like a Misfortune, Gragas, Jarvan sort of thing with Rel. Yes, but if you don't pick your Udyr here, all the S tier junglers are completely gone off the map.
Yeah,
Oh, go on, Excandro.
No, I mean, I was going to say something completely random, and obviously
Interesting.
I'm far less knowledgeable than my boy Gulborg, so I'm going to let him loose.
All right, I'm just going to say it's really interesting as well that you pick the Grackers together in the same rail rotation, just because then the counter pick is just kind of, the flex pick is just not there. Like, you know where this champion is going. That just leaves open the Gnar pick. Really free as well. Thresh into rail as well. Really good matchup from the side of Thresh. And we were talking about lane priority. Right now, I see 2 champions on the side of Dusty that is going to be able to give this Hecarim priority in the jungle.
And now we're into the ban phases. AD carries are being targeted. Xayah, Kai'Sa, 2 high-tier AD carries that have just been eliminated alongside that Tristana that's already gone. Aphelios now. I think one more AD carry like Jhin or something that could be taken off the board here. I actually think Jin's a pretty solid pickup for Dusty if they want it. But we'll see.
That is so interesting to me. I don't understand the logic of banning Xayah there yourself. I think this Xayah ban should have come out from Dusty. You're 4th pick in here yourself. Xayah does really well into Gnar, does really well into Hecarim, and I think that's something Dusty should have been able to ban.
I don't think they want to do that here. They probably want to go with something more like a Jhin. At this point, they just unleash the front line and have Jhin play from the back line and possibly play for their mid laner here, which we have been criticizing a lot during the regular split, but I feel like in this relegation series has been the most stellar performer onto the entirety of MNM, and it has improved so much throughout the series. So
Yeah, I think the Jhin was the correct choice. Like, you're just basically creating space for the rest of your team. But I do feel like if you don't get the ball rolling off those early objectives, you're already starting to lack a little bit of late game presence. Obviously, we haven't seen the mid lane yet, but it's one of those compositions that falls off the edge of a cliff if you don't get ahead of the curve, like Gulborg likes to say. So yeah, I'm a little worried for MNM. Especially for a team that doesn't usually like to go for early objectives and get the ball rolling. They have a team comp that kind of feels like it needs to do that.
I'm worried because I look at Gragas and I'm like, all right, you're the weak sider, and then I look at Jhin and then I'm like, you're usually not the champion you play for, but okay. And you're playing into Thresh Estral. It's gonna be hard coming in from that early priority. Early game needs to. I can already say that the early game from MNM needs to be going really well, or else you need to have a pretty good scaling mid laner that's gonna be enabling a team fight out of nowhere, like the Orianna. And when Dusty goes for the Syndra here, I think it's so smart because you know that Shockwave is gonna be pivotal as well, and Orianna is a pretty bad matchup into Syndra. Or not pretty bad, but Syndra has that edge in the early game as well.
honestly, I felt like Syndra would have been the perfect pick here for MNM,
Yes.
and I find it a very 5-head takeaway from Dusty, because yes, it does work for their comp as well, because they have the Thresh, they have the Ezreal, you've got a lot of bulk with the Spheres, with the Scatter the Weak as well from the Syndra, so you sort of make picks around the map, and the Echo here is absolutely beautiful. I love the MNM composition a lot, especially because you have the backline access with the Gragas, with the Olaf, with the Rel, with the Echo diving in, and then you've got an ADC that's so unapproachable in the backline that if the Hecarim sort of detaches from his team, he's gonna be all alone. And then the rest that you have around with the pseudo tank in the likes of Thresh and the Bruiser in the likes of Gnar are not gonna be enough to withstand all the damage running.
This Echo saved it for me. I think the fact that you just got such a winning lane both where you can outplay it in the laning phase if you're playing it well enough, and you're outscaling on a side lane, you do well into the Gnar as well, I think it's absolutely pivotal. Like, if you can snowball this Echo, you actually have a win condition where the Jhin will actually make sense, where it actually makes sense to have a beefy top laner and the Olaf in the jungle. So hopefully they can get Air going onto this one. And I think it's exciting. Air is a player where we're like, oh, you only play Enchanters, but no, he's been showing up on Tristanas, he's been showing up now on Echo, or maybe he can show up and save the relegation for MNM.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it was one pick that kind of needed to switch this composition on its head. But it is a lot of pressure on Air to perform. Although, Trouble, you have said correctly that Air has been performing in this series,
Yeah.
unlike some of his NLC performances throughout the split. We're just got to hope that he can really show up in the game when it counts. We'll see. Fourth game of the series. Hitbrain and Orcs, take it away.
Very much Scoundrel getting ready to go to game number 4. That was a pretty exciting pick and bans, actually, as the Death seem to be pretty sold on this Echo pick, kind of turning it back around. But for me, Orcs, the question is it enough? Are MNM going to be able to win this one, or will they be going down a league after this?
That's the question. And I really think it comes down to what Camille can do with the early game. We've seen him have strong early games. And more than anything, Hecarim is a champion who's vulnerable to invades. He's vulnerable to that early pressure because he doesn't have flash available and can be challenged on them. So if Camille can pair up with his laners again and can look to challenge Chilm in the early game, that's where you can find the momentum and continue it throughout. But
Yeah.
we're now seeing an MNM who are on the back foot. They are down 2-1. If they're going to crack under pressure, now is a time where they would crack under pressure. So I guess we have to see.
See if the weight that Dusty have put on top of MNM, is it going to be too much, or are they going to stand fast and push it into game number 5? An absolutely stellar game number 1 for MNM. We thought after that game, the conversation behind the scenes was we're having a quick day today. It's going to be a 3-0 for MNM.
Jake can get his KFC.
Yeah. And we were wrong. We were very, very wrong. Dusty fought back, and they fought back hard. So now the ball is very much in MNM's court. Dusty 1 win away from moving into that last series and that deciding series on who will be our final team, joining us in the NLC summer split, and 1 loss away for MNM from, going back down to the UKLC.
Yeah, and it'd be rough because it has knock-on consequences. MNM has an academy team in the UKLC and obviously wouldn't be able to maintain that. And they've been pretty successful in their league. So despite the fact MNM has been struggling a bit in the NLC, still a successful org and still an org that we'd love to be able to see. But obviously, same can be said for Dusty. It's rough. We have to say goodbye to one of them. But right now, MNM is looking like that more likely candidate. And Dusty, if you come off a strong series like this, you come out with momentum, the odds are better than you would have thought for actually maintaining their spot. But you need to close this out. You don't want this to go to a game 5. When the pressure's on, when you've just lost a game against MNM, that's where you can really start to falter. So Dusty need to look good. And I think Legions is a big proponent of that. We talked about this in game 2 when they bounced back. The Tristana pick gave priority, allowed Hume to flourish on the Carthus. The same needs to apply here. We need priority from Legions. We need them to challenge Air. And although this is typically a counter matchup, the counter doesn't really manifest from level 1, Syndra still can put pressure on the lane, can still find priority. It's only when Air can start to really threaten with the all-ins that it becomes a bit more problematic for Legion. So I want to see that early priority. I want to see them play for Chilm in the early game so that he can provide for them afterwards.
Dusty going to be starting up on the red side. Camille also starting up on the bottom side of the map as well. So both these junglers will be matching each other, at least on these earlier clears. And the game is underway. We'll see how these teams handle these early phases, because MNM in game 1 definitely had a pretty decent start. Definitely, they had an amazing
Bit of an
start.
understatement. Yeah, that game was all right. Yeah.
Game number 2, they were matching, but there were just lots of little things that were kind of going against them.
They entered into
and
the
then
Carthus. Yep, you nailed it.
And then Blue kind of sprinted it from there. Let's be real, he did. Game number 3, definitely the tightest game I think we've had. Yeah. But ultimately, MNM fell too far behind early for it to really matter in some of their fights, and there were quite a few cool mistakes and engages that they didn't necessarily need to take. With this level 2 coming in early for Dusty, they are looking for the hook onto Divine. He's able to dodge away on a lot of the incoming missiles at him, but we'll take a flay, and now Blue gonna get the attract and repel off as Divine is just incredibly chunked. Gets that 4 shots to Pedersen.
Imagine if they'd hit those mystic shots on that hook. Like, it'd be laying over, but Divine does manage to dodge away from a couple, but against level 2 champions, especially when it's a Thresh, Thresh can just flay auto you. Very difficult for you to avoid that, and it just means they're winning out the trade. Something I do want to comment on is mid lane. We've seen Legions actually, he forced Air out the lane and made him loop all the way back behind his tower. So already this lane mid is going good. I said I wanted to see him challenge. I said I wanted to see the priority, and we're finding it. This is going to be a massive wave to crash for Air. Going to be moderately tricky for him to CS on the tower, but the main thing is it keeps him trapped there. He's offering no help to his jungler. And with priority in 3 lanes right now, all Camille can do is gank. He can't really go for an invade. And he is looking to go for a gank here, but Flaxius, he senses it. He jumps away, pings out Camille as well, who did show up there. So very aware of the situation. And Chill, he gets the scuttle, he walks away.
He may even just beeline down to that bottom scuttle, although he does not have smite, but neither does Camille, to be completely fair.
Critical thing is that it's now a reset for Dusty's bot lane. But I think the concern is still that mid lane priority. The Syndra being really powerful in these early skirmishes. Not even just the fact that, her kit is strong in the skirmishes, but she can just pick up the scuttle if she wants and take it out the fight. So Camille goes for a reset, and Chilm will get the double scuttle on the Hecarim, which is honestly huge. That's as good as you can sort of hope for on these early levels. So great start for Dusty.
Yeah, absolutely stellar start for them. are seeing Air really struggling in this lane, and this is the counter matchup. It is obviously early days, so, you know, early Syndra, you do expect to have that lane priority. It's kind of like level 6 mark is where this lane gets pretty rough for Syndra. She can go to Unleash Power and he just presses R.
It's kind of when you can start diving the Syndra and applying pressure where it really becomes an issue. But in fairness, Legions is absolutely just massacring Air at the moment.
It's a bit of a slaughter mid lane.
Yeah, Air's really down in farm. Gonna have to TP back in to catch this wave as well. Just in a rough spot. And the thing is, if you start to fall behind in this matchup, then you're not going to be able to all in Legions and come out successful.
And another lane that's been
Massive
struggling
falls
for the
apart.
entirety of this series is this top lane. Flaxish has been smacking Babista about.
Yep.
And he's had, out of 3 of the games, he's had 2 first bloods on Babista. And in game number 3, he didn't get first blood, but about half a second after first blood went down, he killed Babista. He is just constantly bullying and just outlaning Babista. There is a massive deficit and a massive gap in this top lane. And Babista is having a really, really rough series.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not doing well in the top lane matchup. Functioning well in team fights, I'll definitely say there were some good moments there from Babista, but the laning phase is ended up being problematic. We do see Legions just TP'd in to get chunked out, but he's picked up. I mean, this is the difference.
Oh, no.
Oh. I think he gets out of this one. It should be fine. Yeah. But this is a difference when we look at the items. So on the one hand, we have Doran's Ring and Cruffing Potion. On the other hand, we have Verdant Barrier, which is just insane for Legions. The threat from Air's all in is now reduced massively. And that's what I mean about the goal difference being problematic. Air's going to look for an all in here, but yeah, I mean, I don't think you want that either.
No, he's not got level 6. Legions does. Waiting to get that Paralogic Convergence. Has now got it, so he's going to feel a little bit more comfortable. And I think that because consistently being in favor of Dusty are these early dragons. They've already rotated their jungle and their mid lane into this bot side of the map, which was shoving in favor of MNM. Now they can rotate Pedersen over and take this first dragon. This time the response by Camille will be to go top lane, but Flaxish will spot him out. Camille doesn't have 6, and Flaxish can actually just chase him down with these hyper procs.
Yeah, unfortunately, Flaxish missed the boomerang on the return, so can't really go too much further. But ultimately, does cause issues for Camille. Camille has to back away. And you can't contest this dragon. Chilm already level 6 before this, has that ultimate available. Super powerful in these skirmishes. And he's not only going to take that, he's going to take the blue buff as well. So even more takeaway from Air in this lane. It's going to cause potential issues for him.
Yeah,
Not
really
having
big
that
denial.
mana
On the
just
flip
protect the
side,
super push.
if Camille wanted to invade and cross map and kind of match this invade, not that he knows it's going on, but if he did, there was nothing there. There was nothing for him to take, so it was a complete loss for him. As Flaxish about to gnaw out, Babista getting chased, and Babista is able to put some distance between him and Flaxish in time thanks to that phase rush.
Keeps him at bay. Yeah, I mean, overall, early game, successful for Dusty. It's not like a massive swing in their favor. We've seen much bloodier and much more favorable early games than this throughout the series alone, let alone the relegations as a whole. But definitely a good start, especially given the tight conditions for MNM, who need a strong early game to come out favorably with that composition. Now, we do see Air roaming up top.
Yeah, they get the flash body slam, and there's the flash by Flaxish. He's out of there. Air roams over, and unfortunately, will gain nothing for himself. But what has been a very bloody couple of days, every game has been action-packed. This is the least bloody game we've had so far. We're 8 minutes into the game. Nobody has died. Both of these teams recognizing the importance here is Camille does find out Pedersen. Camille does have level 6, so he can just run through Legions and everyone with that Scatter the Weak. Chelm also got level 6. That's going to be the hook. Ragnarok's going to have to get popped any moment. Yeah, it's Camille already chunked out. Chelm jumps in. The Ragnarok is very delayed. And they will find themselves first blood. It is opted out for. Poise is doing so much work as Flaxish is coming in on the flank. Divine gets himself a quick kill in response as he is looking for Hoyes. Riftel's going to reset. The stun's going to be there. Blue's going to lose his life. And MNM have just fallen apart.
Yeah, still a little bit messy there for Dusty. And Divine gets away with murder, literally, by getting in, getting Chilm and getting out. But Dusty's still coming out hugely in favor of the fight. And the thing is, the commit, you know, they try to get onto this backline for Dusty, and they just weren't able to connect. They only got on top of Pedersen.
In this replay, why aren't you Ragnaroking yet? Still not Ragnaroked. Still not Ragnaroked. There's the Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's very late. And you notice the stun that came out from air only connected with Pedersen. Pedersen gets chunked. Chilm gets chunked. But look at Poison Legion, still full HP. Divine goes for this hero play to get the kill and get out. But the backline is still very healthy for Dusty at the end of this. So just bad priority on targets for MNM. You're going for the tanks. You're going for the support. It's not the right play.
It feels like a lack of respect, honestly, from MNM. Again, really not the game they needed. And now Babista has to belly bop away from the two members of Dusty have rotated over. Rift Herald is up. It looks like Dusty are going to be the ones to pick this on up. Blue, not level 6 yet, so no Magnet Storm available to him. And realistically, I don't know if MNM can contest this. They are looking to do so. They've actually brought Divine over as well. And Camille is going to find Chem here. They have the stun from the parallel convergence. As there's going to be the charge. The Ragnarok comes in very late once again. And the curtain is cooled, but I don't think Air's quite got the damage. Can not use his ulti to ping back because it's already on cooldown.
Chilm just keeps getting so low and somehow surviving.
Okay, Divine's dead. Divine is dead. That is a kill to Legions. Babista trying to see if he can find a little something here, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Might want to jump away as the hook almost connects onto him. And, oh my lord, boys, that was so much damage. Again, the problem I have is, is Camille's Arky not working? He always ults really late, when he's already almost dead. Just ult earlier and avoid the CC. Just eat the CC that way.
Yeah, I think it's a misplay coming in. I think MNM definitely not on form here. But, I mean, this is a situation after when we've already seen Chilm escape, but the hook connects on Divine, just a bit overconfident with the positioning. And Legions has honestly been on fire so far this game. Confident pick with the Syndra, matched by the Echo, but is hard winning this matchup and just really taking control of the game.
Dusty just honestly have MNM's number in this game, number 4. They just seem to know exactly what they're going to do. And they are punishing them very, very hard. 11 seconds until this dragon spawns up.
And you know
MNM
what?
have placed a couple of wards down, so they do have the vision in the area, but I just think they can force their way through. Air, no ulti available to him. Is looking for the stun on to the jungle. Dodges away on the True Shot Barrage. Just they get the axe slow, and this might be their opportunity to find themselves a little something here. He's not going to be worth a shutdown, but he is a kill at the end of the day. And Hoyce has to shift away, as that's a good hook. There's the Ragnarok on time this time. Pedersen locked down by the Deadly Flourish. There isn't really the opportunity for them to follow up unless Air jumps in and gets himself a stun. Not going to be able to do so. The Magnet Storm comes down as the Curtain Call comes in to follow. Divine finds the kill. Legions will eat that 4th shot. He is burning low, but he is not going down yet.
A little bit messy from Dusty. An overcommit by Chilm. Didn't have the alternate available and went for that play. And realistically, the chance of you killing the Echo there extremely low. And actually, Babista looked to be winning this.
It's Hyperproxy. Missed the barrel. I don't know. Oh! I don't know who's going to win this. It's so close. Flaxis comes out on top.
If Babista had barreled him into the cask on the floor.
Oh! Is he going to do it? No, he's not. No, he is not. Camille is solo, though.
They're winning
he
this,
will
though.
lose his life. Air is probably next up. No ulti, no flash. Tries to get away with the extra movement speed. Able to jump out with the phase dive. And Air does live. Dragon for MNM. And they sacrifice their jungle.
Yeah, but the dragon doesn't actually mean that much. It does delay a potential Infernal Soul from Dusty, but they're still 4,000 gold ahead. Once again, Flax is winning out in the top lane. It was close that time, but Babista with a little bit of a misplay. The Merc Treads from Flax is coming in clutch as well, reducing that CC. But on the bot side, despite the fact that MNM found a favorable play, despite the fact, again, he's getting chunked.
Just missing just key abilities.
Well, he keeps jumping in when Flax just goes mini. You know, after Mega Know's not even an option. And that is when you're supposed to go in as Gragas. That's when you're looking to trade, when he hasn't got Mega available. But Flax is just dipping, diving, and outplaying. Just to say, as the replay came up, Flaxis did jump away from Camille, if you're wondering. But in this, it was just a mistake by Chilm going in without the ult. a good play from MNM. Curtain Call nearly finding Legions, but unfortunately they're not really going to dive a tower here, and they don't actually pick up that much. And here's the replay. Flaxius is now mini, looking for that favorable trade, but just that consistent damage from the Gnar is huge. Gets the cast down, throws it, but Flaxius sidesteps, and then here wants the cast to come out, but Flaxius, the stun ends a bit too soon, and he's able to dodge away. If he didn't have those Merc Treads, probably would have got knocked into the cast there. And then there's the replay.
55
Nice
health
little-
on that dragon from the smite from Chel.
Yeah,
Just a
it
little
was-
bit too early.
A little bit too early, unfortunately, but the fight's still favorable for Dusty. They get that kill on the Olaf, who at this point is quickly losing relevance.
Yeah, 0-3 on Camille. Camille's had an amazing series as well. I think, if anything, he has been the one shining light for MNM in all of their games, especially game number 1. It was pretty much a big old diffy in a jiffy, but this game, this has definitely been a less than stellar game for him. And Udyr was open. They just decided not to go for it. It hadn't been working in the last couple of games. Decided to change it up with this Olaf pick, and 0-3-3 right now is his score. You can see the gold difference between him and Chelm. A 1,100 gold lead. No,
I mean,
that's
look,
not
look
quite
at
that
these
much. It's low.
solo lane differences. 2k top lane, 1,700 in the mid lane. And again, MNM had counter pick in this mid lane matchup. This is a matchup that's seen as a counter. The Echo should be able to come online later, but Legion just dominated the early levels. And it's done so much for the team. It's allowed Chilm to flourish as well, who's now 1k gold up. And now looking towards pressure in this mid lane tower. I feel like MNM kind of feeling a bit desperate already in this game.
All right, but hold the wave, hold the line for now. But the Rift Herald is up, and Flaxish will look for this second turret for his team. We'll be able to pick that one up with the Rift Herald. Expect that mid lane to fall fairly quickly as well. And MNM just not in position to contest it. Air placing out a couple of wards to make sure he's safe to take a tower in response. But it is a consolation prize, and you're talking about the gold lead. Look at the item lead right now between these two mids. Air sitting on a Hextech Alternator and Merc Threads to Everfrost Verdant Banner. Now, teleport's coming in from Flaxish. He might be in a bit of trouble. Stridebreaker's away. They can't just reset with Air's ulti, so he's going to tank this tower as much as possible. Tries to ping back into Flaxish's face. And the shutdown is picked up probably onto the member. They would rather not have that shutdown, but
Yeah.
kill nonetheless.
Bit of a rough play from Flaxish there. Not sure what the game plan was. Keep in on that tower. Should have just let it go. Continue to apply pressure in your lane. You're winning out mid. You're winning out the rest of the map. Kind of just a free sort of handout to MNM at this point, but still very much Dusty in control with 6k gold lead. 4 towers now to 0. Going to be able to pick up that second dragon in a minute, most likely. Looking really solid. And right now, the Gragas doesn't really hold up the Gnar at the moment. The Olaf is losing relevance quickly. Air cannot deal with Legions. Although, thanks to that kill, he's actually overtaken Legions in levels, which is kind of wild, but regardless. And Jhin, Divine's honestly doing okay, all things considered. In keeping relevant on this Jhin, I'm just not sure it's going to be enough, because you look at the dive potential of this Heck from Gnar, and I am concerned for when it comes to those team fights.
Yeah, I think that's the big scary problem. Like, he's got Flash, he's got Heal, he's got Gale Force, so if he can position right in the fights, he can disengage from Flaxish and Chelm, but it's going to be really on him positioning right and his team making sure that they can't just stick on him. Because he can dodge away from so much. Hey, Babista finally gets a small victory in his lane.
That's a win for me. You'll take it.
Honestly, I think you will. MNM are leaning now towards this bottom side of the map, knowing that this dragon is up. The second dragon, it's the Infernal one. We're on Infernal Soul. Would be a nice pickup for them if they can find that Infernal Drake. But Dusty are able to kind of brute force their way through. There is a flank coming in from Babista.
We'll see how this goes.
Been seen by the
but
minions, though.
I'm
and
not
he's
sure
been
this is a fight.
Caught by the hook. I think Babista's just dead. They're getting a lot onto him. He's down. Camille actually did jump in over the wall. Divine zoning away Camille, as Hoy's able to get himself a kill onto Camille as well. Divine gonna get feared up, able to dodge away on that ulti as Air trying to ping back to safety. Air still running away as Hoy's can take a fair amount of damage from Divine, forces him to fill it, heal, and flash. Meanwhile, Air continues to just kite away from these Dusty members, and Dusty actually do end up losing a fair amount of health. They are looking to start this one up, but there is a ulti available to Blue here. And I actually think Divine might have the damage to be able to do this one, as Hoy's actually will find Air, and Hoy's will find himself the kill. They're jumping in with the Magnet Storm. They got the teleport to back them up, as there is a 4-shot available. Divine gets the shutdown. The dragon is secured, but Flaxish is now getting the kill on to another member. Cheon jumps in. Hoyes loses his life, but Beast are looking for a consolation prize. He just can't hit an ability. He is down.
And that's just an absolute win for the side of Dusty. I believe in total, because of the TP back in, that was 6 kills for 2 overall, which is insane. And they get the dragon as well. And the question I was going to ask before that fight, and the question that I got answered is, what are you gaining from this? And very little is the answer to MNM. Why are you fighting this second dragon for Dusty? It just doesn't matter at all. We do see Flax just, in quotation marks, caught out, but yeah, he could just jump over the wall.
I had a lot of damage from Camille. I'll give him that, but yeah, like... it
my
doesn't
mind
matter.
is blown because what are you going to get out of that fight? Best case scenario, you get a dragon. And worst case scenario, you put the game to a point that's unsurmountable. The Beast just caught out on the approach and just gets absolutely decimated. Hoy's so strong, he can just absolutely cut through him. The fight does get messy, and this is kind of a goal difference fight a bit because Dusty don't play this perfectly, and Divine, I think, was honestly stellar here, dodging away from the fear there, and then able to clean up some kills later on, but like, Hoyes is so strong, just blows air up in this situation. It's now a 5 versus 3, even with the teleport back in, and I know that this is a really nice engage, but Flaxius is still basically full HP. He jumps over the wall, quickly kills Blue. The Beaster can't hit anything, apparently. And Divine, he's literally doing all he can for his team, but it's just not enough.
Divine is really trying here. And I think Divine might be in a bit of trouble, able to jump away as his support resets in his face.
But the thing is, like, they didn't win that fight, despite a good effort, because they were really far behind in gold. And now they're 7,000 gold behind. Even if they won that fight, it wasn't going to, like, fix all their issues. They're now so far in the hole that they're forced to make desperate plays like that one. And now Divine's dead. He's just gone.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's staying so far up. As in dead, Hoyes gets the kill. That could just be Baron. Honestly, I think at this point, that's Baron.
I think my biggest issue with MNM that's become apparent in this series, because it happened in the last game as well, is they don't know when to just not fight. Last game, there were so many moments they were taking these awful fights.
Oh, my lord. That is...
And they're doing the same
Magnet
here.
Storm as you go down. I think that's Baron. I think this game is now fallen into a point where it is nigh unplayable. MNM are going to need a miracle from Aaron Camille
Camille
here.
needs to steal. He needs to steal.
He's got a level down. He does have the undertow. He's going to pop the Ragnarok, but he is just popped. Air actually pieces out. Doesn't want anything to do with it. It's pretty rough right now as Flaxish looking for Air. Air is able to phase dive over the wall. Lantern back into the pit. No steal opportunity available. That is Baron Nashor at 22 minutes into this game.
It feels like as the series has gone on, Dusty have just gone from strength to strength. Everyone is firing all cylinders in this game, performing super well in these team fights. And MNM just really feel lost at this point. Taking fights they don't need to, getting caught, getting picked off, and they're now 10,000 gold behind. And Dusty haven't even done anything with their Baron yet. This is looking like a very hard one to come back from. MNM need a miracle. They need Dusty to mess up. It's not just good play from MNM. You need Dusty to mess something up as well if they want to get back in this one.
And Dusty just haven't been. They just haven't been messing up. And I'd say even when they have messed up, MNM still mess up harder and come out worse from it. Like, that's how bad this game has been. Again, like, members of MNM way too far pushed up. Why is Babisa so deep? He's going to waste a lot of time, but ultimately he's dying here. True Shot Barrage? Not quite enough.
Gets a smite. That's the
That's
clean
the
getaway.
ultimate disrespect.
Steals a movement speed as well, so you can piece it out of there. Yeah, I mean, again, he wastes a bit of time, but the Baron's still on Dusty, and they're going to start pushing up mid. It's feeling desperate right now. And I'm looking at Divine. If anyone's going to be able to step up, it's him, but I feel like it's so hard to play these team fights for him.
Well, when his whole team runs away from him and leaves him with a Hecarim, it does feel
not winning that 1v1.
too hard.
I mean, there's mid inhibitor down. You can see MNM are positioning. They want to look for this fight. TP coming in. They're going for it.
Yeah, they are going for it. It's going to have to be pretty big. Interrupted on that Magnet Storm as already Blue is cut down in his prime. And it's over as quick as it started for MNM, that fight. It is just crumbling around them. Mid inhibitor exceptionally low. Legions has already started up the tier 2 bot side. Flaxis will be able to take this inhib any moment now.
Just beautiful play there from Chilm. Just as soon as they were aware the play's happening, they go straight to blue, shut him down, don't let the engage come off, keep the backline safe. Instead of going forwards, they peel back, they protect the carries. Really well played. Now Dusty easily going to take this bot lane inhibitor. Mid lane should be a freebie after this. MNM do have 5 members again. I don't think they're going to be able to find a fight here. Dusty are just going to take what they want and back away. Dragon up and available to clean up on the way out. Baron about a timeout, but Dusty has done work to the base of MNM.
2 inhibitors down. It's so early as well, but the wave clear is not really there. And Divine is overstepping. Divine, you can Gale Force, you can flash, but Chelm will stick to you like glue. The fear comes down. Air's trying to keep him alive. I can't believe Divine is still alive. He somehow gets out from that one. There's actually a couple of members have been picked up, but Legions gets himself a double kill, and this might just be an ever one here as Flaxish gets the Gnar underneath the tower. Divine the only one standing. And MNM's time here has come to an end. Dusty are going to knock them out of the NLC and keep their hopes alive of making it into summer. It has been an amazing turnaround from game number 1 for Dusty to win 3 games back-to-back after getting slapped around that hard. But at the end of the day, they have done it. And they're going to make sure they send Divine packing. 25 minutes on the clock. Dusty win the series 3-1.
And I think after game 1, I was worried for Dusty. After game 2, I was like them with a chance. But by the end of game 3, and especially in game 4, they felt like this was the Dusty we'd expected to see for the whole season. This was a Dusty I was hoping would get in week 4, week 5. They took way too long to get there, but they come in when it matters most. They keep themselves, at least for now in the NLC, they'll still have to fight for their spot, but they do knock MNM out, which honestly, it's sad to say. They've been part of initially, the UK scene for such a long time, and now the NLC. They managed to navigate relegations last time, but I guess it was just too much this final time.
It was a hard battle for them, but it looked like a good start. And ultimately, Dusty, it just awoke the beast. They realized that they couldn't play like they were in game number 1. They fixed their errors and they improved, and that was the big difference. MNM played the same play style all 4 games. Dusty didn't. Dusty adapted and they improved and ultimately came out on top 3-1. Dusty are now 1 series away from requalifying into the NLC. It's going to be on them to make sure they find that win tomorrow. But for now, it's time we throw over to our desk to break it down. I guess we're
the casters, Jake.
Yeah, we're the casters. What are we? Scoundrel, over to you.
No, we're the casters, Jake. We're the casters. You're not the casters. We're the casters. You were correct in the first place. Yeah. Congratulations to Dusty. Obviously, the hard work isn't done yet. They have avoided relegation for the time being. They're going to go into a series versus Bifrost tomorrow to determine who will make it back or to the NLC for the first time. So again, it's gonna another best of 5 facing them just another 24 hours away realistically. But this was a big hurdle. They conquered MNM again for the second time, having beaten them in that relegation seeding tournament series as well. And actually, I think given that series as a whole deserved the win. I think they played well and especially shaped up after that loss. And I think Dusty looked good.
I agree, and I think we wanted it to come out from the laners as well. I don't think the Echo did what it was supposed to do that game either. It was extremely chunked out in laning phase, and Legion just obviously stomping that matchup as well. Bot lane was working great from them, even top side, where we saw Babista on the Grackers into the Gnar pick. Like, I've really questioned the Rel and Grackers rotation coming out from the start, and it just didn't pay off for them either. Like, Gnar had a field day, Flaxers was just chilling, and it just felt like as soon as we passed 10-15 minutes, I just looked at that game. I was like, I see no way of you coming back because you're not making any proactive plays and you're not able to make any proactive plays.
Yeah, and I think we said that in Champ Select as when we were talking about in Champ Select as well, we kind of said, look, they need to snowball. MNM, not exactly a team that's going to go after those first objectives and try and snowball the game. They didn't. They also messed up the laning phase with the Echo, and it was shambles from that point onwards. There was no recovery. There was no backup plan. There was no hyperscaling late game option. It was just, okay, we failed at plan A. There is no plan B.
And the thing is, they had picked their lanes specifically to, not necessarily to snowball them, but to like counterpick them. They were ahead. And I feel like they individually got counterplayed on every single lane this game. It felt like Dusty turned on and no lane could actually bail MNM out of this specific game. It was really rough to watch. And honestly, it was a breath of fresh air when it comes to Dusty, because we thought it was due, like no macro, no nothing. And now they come in very decisive. They know how to play the laning phase. They know how to translate the games, and it feels good.
And obviously, should we take a look at the brackets, guys? Just have a quick look at where we are in this relegation series. Of course, this does mean that MNM now is eliminated and relegated down to our lower tournaments. And obviously now Bifrost and Dusty now will duke it out tomorrow in the second decider match. We had a winners match, which was between Galaxy and Bifrost. Galaxy won that relatively convincingly. They have qualified for the NLC, and Bifrost will now have to duke it out in a best of 5 versus Dusty today for another spot in the NLC.
And to me, it's absolutely crazy that an organization like Dusty would not make it back into the NLC. If you've not been following the NLC for long, you've probably not followed the Nordics leagues either. But they've always been consistent at qualifying for Nordic League. They've been our only Icelandic seed coming into it. The other Icelandic teams usually falter in the Telia Masters. They're not being the most respected teams, and I think rightfully so, without being too harsh onto them. And to me, it's just crazy that the one team with some Icelandic players would actually go out, because that's a lot of representation going on there. But at the same time, Bifrost from Norway has been looking like a scary team, just like the rest of the Norwegian teams that we have in the league, or at least for the last season, and Nordwin this time around. So that's definitely going to be a banger tomorrow.
And
Yeah.
I feel like they also have the same type of play as well, right? They just want to snowball that early game, or it just doesn't happen for them. And then Bifrost have that one click in the late game in the other best of 3 series, and then Ty just rushes forward and just kills everyone with his Zaya. But I feel like the early game will be something that we really want to watch tomorrow.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a challenge. Look, I'm going to speak to, I believe, Legions from Dusty, so we're going to have a chat to him about this series. Legions, hello.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can also see your shoulders and not your face. Oh wait, I can see your face
What's
now.
up?
There we go.
What's
there we
up?
go, mate. Obviously, congratulations. You haven't made it back to the NLC yet. Oh wait, we're getting. Oh, he's standing up. He's yeah. You're vibing, mate. You're vibing. And oh no.
I'm chilling, bro. I'm chilling.
Was that a solo bolo game from you, mate? Just complete win in the laning phase. But I think obviously congratulations, Legions. This does put you through to another series versus Bifrost, where you will be able to like fight for your chances in the NLC. You have avoided relegation for the time being. How are you feeling about tomorrow? Obviously, this win versus MNM is huge, but obviously the series versus Bifrost is where it's going to count. How is the team feeling ahead of tomorrow?
I mean, we were feeling kind of bad after the loss against the Galaxy Racer team. Like the morale was really shit after that. But then we came into today with a completely new mindset. I mean, obviously we got stomped first game, but it was like a warm-up game, I guess. And then we came back with a winner mentality and won like 3 games in a row. So
Yeah.
we're feeling kind of good now after the 3 wins.
What was it that you think really gave you the edge over M&M right now? I mean, obviously the Karthus game was just a Karthus game, right? You know, they just couldn't play around it. But
Yeah.
what kind of you feel like gave you the edge in this series?
I think like it was kind of important that we have like 5 players that played together like for 3 months, but enemy like swept 2 players out. So it felt like their synergy was like different.
Mhm.
And also like how Air like had to play, he was like more supportive style than usually he does. Like when we played before against them, I believe, best of 3, he played more of a assassin-oriented style, which fits them more, I think.
Yeah, and I think obviously you guys got the edge in them, and that last draft for them was definitely like they have a plan A. There's no plan B. If the plan A fails, then they're kind of screwed, and they just didn't manage to make it work. And you on Syndra absolutely took over the game as well. What are you feeling about Bifrost? Do you know much about the team? Have you had a look into how they play and how your play styles match up against them?
Yeah, they play really solid. Like they have 5 really solid players that don't grief, so they have that edge. I think their mid jungle is like the strongest. So yeah, we have to do well, me and Chum, in that apartment to fight against them, I feel like.
Yeah, I think you guys are going off of momentum as well. Though you are going off of momentum from this series, so you've got that winner's mentality going into the series tomorrow. And of course, with all the luck, because obviously we'd like to see. It would be nice to get an NLC team back at the NLC, of course.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys go in and give us a good series. We'll see you tomorrow, mate.
Yeah. Thank you.
There's just something about Legion's interviews. Can't put my finger on it, but there's just something.
It's the fact that he stands up and just flosses. It's the fact that he's just out there, all right? He's one of the
He's
most
great. No, he's
energetic
great.
league players
He's
we
great.
have.
Yeah, he's great. And it's just it was the flexing with Foxy in the interview before. It was the flossing, just standing up, just getting.
What a lad! What a lad!
I mean, I love the confidence, mate. Honestly,
Yes.
you got to have the confidence. I like people with a bit of personality. Legion's has got it in bounds. Should we take a look at the moment that you guys wanted to break down this game? Should we have a look over towards our drawing board?
And welcome to the drawing board once again, ladies and gentlemen. This time we are gearing up for a fight between Dusty and MNM with a pretty great hook from Peterson to start everything off. And this is just to kind of reiterate how far MNM really are right now. Let's take a look at. All right, this is a Drake fight. Usually with a Drake fight, you come in, you go for an ejector setup. You want to be together. You don't want to be too split. But from the side of Dusty, you basically have one, you have two, you have three, or MNM rather, and they're just completely scattered away from the Drake, all out in a fight where they don't want to be. So as soon as that hook's come down, everyone is just like, scatter, just run away, let's get out of here, I don't know what's happening. And they're just trying to get away, but inevitably they're not able to, and the clip is going to cut here to where Hoy's had to get away, and Black Shoes is chasing out the Echo here and there, but from Hoy's, he's just chilling in here. He's got something of steel right here, and he's just arcane shifting out of the way together with W to finish
You
off.
can say it. He's got balls of steel.
Oh no! You're not gonna
let's
do
go.
Bobista dirty here, are you?
Oh, God,
I
look,
know.
they're doing it dirty. Oh,
Oh,
no, Babista. No.
It's unlucky, guys. It's unlucky. It had to happen, all right? It had to happen. It's an unlucky body slam into an unlucky Everfrost into an unlucky game. You know what? Maybe the game was unlucky first, and then everything turned out. And you know what? They missed, and sometimes they do be missing. They will be missing NLC as well now.
Fatality. that was brutal, mate. Okay, well, there we go on that bombshell. Let's take a look back at that series, have a look at some of the highlights. I really hope we don't have to do Babista dirty twice. I feel a bit bad about it if we do.
No, because you know what? We're starting with an MNM win right here where it actually went great for them. They run it down in a good way towards the enemy nexus. They managed to get the enemy nexus. And honestly, the first game looked so dominant. We were talking Diffie in the Jiffy. We were talking Diffie in the solo lanes. We're talking Diffie in the bot lane. The entirety of the MNM crew looked great. And then it took a turn for the worse because it felt like they were just not playing coordinated anymore.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, 4 of us came in with MNM
Yeah.
predicted to actually win this series. Zork's the only one actually winning out with 3-1 here. And it's not that I think MNM showed up in the playoffs or the relegation series before this, and in the first game as well, as you said, Trouble. But it's just like, as soon as they started to fall behind, you could really tell that this was also new players coming together. It was not, as Legion just said in the interview, the rest of Dusty is 5-on-5, and they could just come in there and actually play it out. Even when they were behind, they had that mentality to get back. But from the side of MNM, every time I saw them fall behind, it just seemed like the only mechanic or the only coping mechanism they had to get back into the game was just run it even harder. And that just never made it easier for them.
Run it even harder. Oh, go bug. You have a way with words, my man.
I'm not a native English speaker. If that was harsh, I'm very sorry.
No. It was funny. Don't worry. It was funny. Yeah, look, I think at the end of the day, we voted MNM for a reason. We saw something in them yesterday, especially versus Bifrost. They looked like they'd fixed some of the issues that we'd criticized them for throughout the NLC. And, and it's, in essence, they had, but they just still couldn't convert. And even if they could, the Dusty still had managed to have their number in the early game, which is where they were actually performing versus Bifrost. It just didn't manage to work out this time around, and it's a shame because MNM have always been part of the top tier of UK and Nordic style League of Legends tournaments over the course of many years. And it feels kind of bad to say goodbye to them, if I'm honest with you. It really does. But I hope we see them again. I really do. MNM are a kind of a stalwart organization, and they've done a lot a lot for UK esports across many different games as well. So, I know, commiserations, but I'm sure we will see them back. We have one more series left in the NLC relegation series. Our last day of NLC broadcasting before all the European Masters and everything like that kicks off. And it is one final spot up for grabs in the NLC. Dusty, who won today, will go into another best of 5 versus Bifrost tomorrow. Winner takes all scenario. Make sure you're there. It's our final day. We'll make it as special as it can be. There's clearly going to be a lot of action on the line. All right, we'll see you then. Oh, and hello.